Hey, Patriots fans, if you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go places.
Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Mike Vrabel piece and my Dante Scarnecchia piece from the Game Day magazine, probably the thing that I love the most that I've ever written. So
Ever?
Please,
Oh, wow.
please read it.
What about the film breakdown you did of that Chicago Bears game last year?
Some Ivan Fears, great Ivan Fears quotes in there too.
Patriots.com too?
Maybe.
The Ivan Fears.
Oh, God.
So,
I forgot about that. Scal. Because we have a piece written by Eric Scalvino, who's been gone 2 years.
It was a retirement piece. We've never posted it.
I mean, he's still here. I saw him walking into the building again yesterday, and I was like, Ivan,
Yeah.
you can retire.
So we have a new Alex.
Look at that.
Wow.
Oh, now
There
I
we
know why
go.
she came in.
oh, she knew.
I thought
Oh,
I
you're
was
such a fraud.
The
You
laptop.
are a fraud.
And Evan.
Oh no.
43, 47, and 3.
I'll take it.
How's your all-22 film now?
No, all I care
Moses.
about is beating him for some.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Tuesday here at Gillette Stadium, and boy, the food tastes better, the oxygen is more fresh, everything
Diet
is better.
Pepsi's better.
Yeah, everything's better. We haven't had a win like that in I don't know how long, but man, feels good. Feels so good.
It was an exciting game, too. It wasn't just like you won, the other team rolled up. Like, it was a good game, great finish.
Yeah, I mean,
A lot of good stuff.
the Bills are a good team. They showed
Yeah.
their mettle at the end of the game. They didn't have their best game, but at the end of the game, Josh Allen does what great quarterbacks do. He, got it together, and they scored 2 touchdowns. But yet, the Patriots were able to overcome that and come, I think you can chalk it up as a come-from-behind win, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Comeback, fourth quarter
Yeah,
comeback.
even though you were winning for 58 minutes. that's
Game-winning
all right.
drive.
Yeah. Now the way the NFL does it, it won't. But yes, it absolutely counts as a come from
that?
behind win because it's trailing entering the fourth quarter.
Oh, well,
Oh, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
really.
back and forth in the fourth
I
doesn't
will.
count.
I will count it. That's
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely
Yes.
counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would count in
Mac
everybody else's.
Mac had to have
tabulations,
a game-winning drive, and he did it.
He
Yep.
did it, and I mean I've said it a couple times. I like that it came off of what could have been a devastating mistake, the fumble by Kendrick Bourne, which I should say I feel like I was really hard on him in the post-game show. I think I was just like that was a nice play by Poyer to punch it out. Like I put him on the down list, and I kind of regret it a little bit just because I thought he made some plays, but
Not the time for a down list.
it wasn't a time for a down list for Kendrick Bourne. He did have a good game, but I just like that they had that mistake, and you said, all right, well here it is. This is where you can fold, and they did score, and it gave an opportunity for them to pick themselves up off the mat and go down and like you said, get that win against Buffalo. That it's like, over these years, the Jets have done it a couple times. You're like, how did the Jets just dumb into a win over Buffalo? And for some reason, it's like, 7 out of the last 8, like every time it's just like same game getting hammered. So it was great. It was a great win for these guys.
So we have that to talk about, what it means, that game, going forward perhaps. It's Deuce, it's Tamara, it's Evan, Paul, myself, Matt in the booth. We'll be here for the next 2 hours talking about Patriots.
That's right.
And we have good things to talk about. It's great.
It's nice to have Fred back.
No, I mean,
It's nice.
you start the game and you get the inactives. You look at the warm-ups and you see Onwenu at the right tackle. And you're like, okay. They're seeing what we're seeing. They're making a move. And I think, to me, that was like the catalyst for it being a good day. I really do. I think, having him at the right with Sal next to him, I think that was,
Are we sure it's on when you too? Like,
On
can we double check that?
On when you?
Sorry,
what is it?
I think it's a when you.
I don't know.
What did I say? Onwenu?
No, that's what you guys say, but I'm still stuck on Onwenu. Like it
Onwenu.
Yeah.
It could be.
How do you say Chandler Jones?
Wait, can you say that again?
Onwenu.
Can
Onwenu.
you say it?
Onwenu. So I kind of
what's the
stress
difference?
the U.
Oh, okay.
I think there's an umlaut. in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I kind of do a
Sorry.
U, and he does a U.
Sorry to distract us.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like I think Max,
Big Mike.
I think Max saw that, and obviously they probably practiced it during the week. right? I'm sure.
I
Like
think he said Wednesday was that they came to him and
Yeah.
said, yeah.
So Mac, I think that gave Mac a little bit more confidence. I don't know if it gave him any more time because the ball was out of his hands so fast during the game.
Yeah.
But I think that was one of the things that you can point to that was different that worked.
Yeah, getting Douglas involved. I mean,
Yeah,
geez.
another thing.
You know, the thing I didn't realize too was that he drew 3 penalties, and all of them led to touchdowns. Like all the penalties that he drew, I think it was one defensive holding, 2 OPI or DPIs. They all ended up in a touchdown. So I mean, he just was involved a lot and led to a lot of good things. And I hope they can continue to. Some of those catches he made were outstanding.
You know what's like, to me, what's more impressive even, and I know it didn't matter, but the penalties that he drew, he caught the ball anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and contested catches for a guy who's a little smaller in stature.
Kind of out
Up
of
the
nowhere.
seam, too. Caught one up the seam
Yeah.
in traffic.
He looked, like I said it in the postgame show, he looked like a veteran. Like the confidence, the sure-handedness, obviously the vision once he has the ball. He didn't look like a rookie
No,
to me.
he looked better than I had seen him. I mean, it was like he got concussed, and then all of a sudden it kind of all clicked for him for some reason. Like, you know, like, oh, that's all he needed.
I don't think he meant it that way.
But yeah, he was excellent. That was a new level. Haven't even seen that out of him yet.
I also really like the tight ends, and I don't know if it was just because it was National Tight End Day and they were feeling it a little bit more.
How many
but
days is
they were
National
good.
Tight End Day? It seems like
It's
the
a-
whole
I
week
think the
is
whole
National Tight End Day.
NFL season is devoted to like George Kittle.
Well, now that Taylor Swift likes a tight end, I mean that's
Get
that's
yourself
the
a tight
position.
end, ladies.
That's the position
That's
to
the
be.
position.
But they were great, and
I
starting
think
off
that
with
was already the position.
starting off with Pharaoh Brown, it seems like whenever he gets the opportunity, he has a big play, and it just went up from there.
Downtown Brown.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable.
Went downtown a couple times.
Yeah.
I
Moving up the pyramid.
I want to just Bill O'Brien just come out to the middle, the 50-yard line, and take a bow. Take a bow.
Thank you, Evan Lazar.
I don't think I can remember. You have to go back to Brady McDaniels for a game plan that was as well constructed as that one. He was a step ahead of Sean McDermott for 4 quarters. I thought that Mac played exceptionally well in the 4th quarter of this game, but the first 3 quarters, Billy O drove the ship. He carried the offense.
Normally, I would push back and say, well, it's just because they executed it better. But Mac, after the game, specifically said he gave credit to Bill O'Brien. Said we did a lot of things that I feel comfortable doing.
Well, I think they did a lot of different things too.
It was an absolute thing of beauty. It was a masterclass by Bill O'Brien.
Wow.
Is it sustainable?
Is it sustainable? The execution part of it or the X's and O's part of it? Because those are 2 different things, right?
Both.
Like,
Give me an A and a B.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, go ahead. I didn't want to do.
no, I think it because that's my big picture question coming off this game is, was that the Patriots Super Bowl or is that the Patriots now, right? Because we've seen this on the other side where you catch the Giants sleeping, you win the upset game, and then the very next week you lose by 30 points, and like it's kind of just. All right, well, what was the point even of beating Buffalo? But if this is how they're going to play offense moving forward, that opening script, where the Miami Dolphins, like they're coming out, they're motioning Pop Douglas, they're running all sorts of misdirection and motion in the running game, they're bootlegging, like Pharaoh Brown bootleg, and then hit him for like 22 yards, something like that in the opening drive. That was as well of a designed plan as I've seen the Patriots have in years. I mean, he was on fire.
How much of it was this was the right matchup, or do you, like Paul said, is this sustainable?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know if it's sustainable. I would say what they did, you can do every week if you want to, but I do wonder how much the style of defense that Buffalo plays.
Right.
I think that if you look at some of the better games that even this iteration of the Patriots offense has had, like they moved the ball pretty well last year in Buffalo, if you recall.
Especially in that last game.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like the game in Buffalo, they moved the ball pretty well, and they gave themselves a chance to get in a shootout if they didn't give up the second kick return.
Yeah.
And I do think I think Buffalo's defense is good. I'm not telling you that they stink. So again, I'm guarding I'm guarding against the blah police.
Right,
okay.
Right.
I think Buffalo's defense is good, but I think it's a good matchup for the Patriots. I think they like to get the ball out quickly, short, and Buffalo likes to play soft zone. I think that really kind of really factors into the equation.
Well, that's the role of a coordinator to recognize that.
Well, and that's why, I'm happy that Evan, cited Bill O'Brien. Fred, as you came down for the post-game show, that was how I let off the good, the bad, and the injured. Was my good was coaching, period. Like the game plan that they had, I thought really kept Buffalo on its heels for 60-plus minutes.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't perfect because they're not that good. They can't dominate a good team like on the scoreboard, on the on the stat sheet for 60 minutes every game. They're not good enough to do that, but they took what they had and they kept Buffalo off guard throughout the game. And there were some peaks and valleys along the way, but I really thought the motion stuff that Evan's talking about, the quick stuff to Douglas, and what I really like is we get made fun of all the time. Like, listen to these guys. They're trying to tell Bill Belichick what to do. Like, he doesn't know. No, we're not trying to tell, but when a lot of people want to do something and they actually do it, then it's okay. Like this. Like, people have been saying, put a one-you at tackle. Yeah. People have saying, just, sort of just go with
more
Douglas.
Yeah.
Go with Douglas as the focal point. He's the best game. People were complaining when Douglas got benched for fumbling. Let him play through the mistakes, and maybe he'll make more plays than he makes mistakes if you just stick with him.
That was what this game was.
Because he made mistakes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think Mac was pissed at him on that sack,
Absolutely.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, ran right into the zone defender instead of sitting it down.
But this is like, we don't know more than anybody that's working in the NFL, and we don't pretend to. But sometimes you can just see this
obvious.
might work. Let it, just sort of let it work.
Patience.
Yeah. I mean, he just – so everybody against the Patriots, Buffalo included, is just playing a ton of man coverage. Like, they just don't think that you can beat – them in man coverage because the Patriots don't have the receivers. So very first play of the game, Patriots go under center, they get single high man-to-man, and they motion Douglas. And now it becomes a horizontal track meet. Like, all right, if you're going to just come up and play man-to-man against us, we're not going to let you press our receivers at the line, and we're going to make you tackle in space. So what do? They motion him across the formation. They throw him the cheap motion throw, and then he just spins Teron Johnson like a top with the ball in his hands and puts him in a blender, and now you're 9 yards on first down. Now it's 2nd and 1. Like, that was the game plan, and it got Buffalo to play more zone. I think Buffalo wanted to play man-to-man in this game. I think they wanted to come out and play a bunch of man, and then Pop Douglas, to his credit, was terrific. I mean, they couldn't cover the guy. Like, he was open the entire game for 4 quarters. Open a couple times on the goal line, too, where he probably could have gotten a touchdown on the second-to-last play from scrimmage. Mac overthrew that ball. And then on Bourne's touchdown, Douglas was open as well. He could have thrown a touchdown to either one of the guys. He just threw it to Bourne. So Douglas was great, but they have basically turned him into discount Tyreek Hill. He's just running verticals and motion routes all over the place. And then the motion gets married up to the running game, and now they're running the ball again. Yep. And that's just how the whole thing opens up. This started, I would say, in the second half against the Raiders, but they didn't make the changes on the line yet. I saw it coming in the 3rd and 4th quarter against Vegas. All this motion and all the different things, all the tools that O'Brien was starting to unlock, and I was like,
well, they started the motion against Dallas right away.
Yeah.
But then the game got out of hand.
Right. And I think, with O'Brien, it wasn't going to happen overnight. Like, he had a lot to fix, and there was a lot of different things that he wanted to install and wanted to bring here. And I think, unfortunately, the losses snowballed on them so quickly that maybe they're in a hole that they can't dig themselves out of. But I always thought that the second half of the season for the offense was going to be better than the first half once O'Brien got the ship up and running. Now he's got it in a much better spot, and we'll see what they look like going forward.
Yeah. Well, it's good stuff. And then on defense, again, wasn't perfect. You let up the 2, but they constantly pressured Allen. They got him off platform, as Evan would say, and he was forced to throw a lot of balls away. This time when he did extend plays, they didn't get hurt as much as they did in the past. And credit to Steve and Gerard for dialing up what they did, different ways to get pressure. Sometimes it was Bentley. Wise was in there. Barmore had a game.
Yeah.
Like, if he keeps playing like that,
that's the Barmore.
Yeah.
That's the Barmore I was expecting when he was a rookie.
He tweeted out, like, pushing it forward.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like replying, if you keep playing like that, you're going to be pushing bags forward, because you're going to be worth
Bags
a lot
of
of
money.
money. Yeah,
No, I
bag,
got
you get it?
If he
I
can,
got you.
I think he
can
heard
say-
Deuce compare him to Adam Butler, and now he's just been playing like an absolute.
but
No, I mean that game was the game that I envisioned when he was a rookie. I
He had a
saw little
game.
flashes, but I haven't really seen that Christian Barmore since.
Yeah,
And
poor
that was
Osiris
Yeah.
Torrance.
and
the
I,
rookie
I
guard.
read your review, Aaron, and I love the way you put it. He picked his spots when to do his best pass rush, and then other times, played the job that he was given in just maintaining his two gaps. I think that blend of what he did and when he did it was perfect.
Yeah.
They
needed it. I mean, and throw Wise in there. I mean, all these guys, I think had, some moments. I know Wise had a penalty or two, but, Jennings, just these guys had to step up. And we all know what we thought it was going to look like when Gonzalez and Judon and then even Uche was out. And it was like, man, they're going to struggle to get after the passer. But I think you guys are totally right. Barmore, they need him to continue that against Miami this week with their line issues. I mean, this is, potentially where they could find something to build off of.
Yeah, and strangely, like that was one area that Buffalo didn't have really health issues. Their offensive line was reasonably healthy heading into that game. The Patriots just
It was
played
funny
better up front.
that guy Osiris Torrance was at the Senior Bowl, and they were just praising him and I remember watching him and being like, this is what a first-round guard probably looks like. Just compared to Cole Strange, like he just was tough and stout, but then
Barmore
took him to school.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then
That's what happened to
just
Strange
the
in this game too. Don't watch the film.
and just the usage, the
We'll
number
get
of
to
I
it.
leave that
snaps,
to your people.
the number of snaps
We'll
guys
get
were
to it.
getting seemed like the perfect mix. Going back to offense,
Except poor Marty Mapu.
right? But we realized that they were kind of wasting snaps
Obsessed
on
with Mac
Parker.
Wilson.
So pulling back Parker a little bit and getting whether it's Rager out there more or
They had some speed lineups, which I liked.
Yeah, and when is speed not a good thing in the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
Like when doesn't that match up?
I know. And
You know?
I will say, Fred, I don't know if you listened to Steve Tasker when he called in from the Bills, but he called this game to be close. Like, he was like, I don't think this is going to be the blowout everyone thinks it's going to be. He was like, the way the Bills have been playing, they've been going downwards since that Jaguars game. So
you can feel
it
the
just-
angst of
yeah,
Buffalo.
he could
Well,
feel
yeah,
that.
that's funny.
it wasn't
Kamara?
No,
great.
nobody in New England gave the
Windows
Patriots
closing.
a huge. Nobody in New England gave the Patriots much of a chance.
No.
Everybody in Buffalo did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everybody in Buffalo, the sky is absolutely falling, and they want Ken Dorsey out.
True.
Rightfully
that's
so.
That's a good
Yeah.
point, Paul.
There-
It's a different perspective there.
I understand the Bills fans' gripes. I think that they're all warranted at this point. You finally got a game where Josh Allen didn't play out of his mind. Like, that was, I think, the biggest takeaway from the defense. Like, not to take away what they did defensively to get him there, but there are throws in this game that Josh Allen makes in his sleep that he missed in this one.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, overreact too much to, they solved the Bills. They got the game. The one thing I would say that they did that I liked was that they blitzed him half the time. 50% of his dropbacks, they sent extra pressure, and they didn't just sit back and soft zone and just, make him march it and all that, because that's what they had been doing, and he was just picking them apart, without any pressure. So in this game, they went after him. They did blitz him a lot, but I can count 4 or 5 throws off the top of my head in this game where I was like, what's he doing?
We were doing that during the game. Like, we were watching, here it is. They flush him out. And, I mean, I do think they get some credit just because I think they had just the timing of their rushes. It almost just it made him miss some of the windows. I feel like he hit some.
But I don't think they were,
so many
to Evan's point, there was some of them, they did flush them. The pressure was the best thing the Patriots did.
Yep.
Everything else, I think, left a lot to be desired. And I don't think that some of the throws he missed were overly difficult throws. He just was one of those days. Just to compare and we talk about sustainability, which I'm sure the second hour today is going to be about, the playoff train.
It's a path, Paul.
12-5 in play.
There is a path.
Well, it's 12-5.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say 12-5,
listen,
but there is a
but
path.
There are 2 games they've won so far against the AFC East. If they beat Miami, that schedule is favorable to them.
Yeah. Talk to me then. Talk to me when they do it.
Talk to me when they win the games. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
But
I know.
but
three
Paul,
and 5, you're 2 games out of a playoff spot.
It's a
the
tough.
soft
if they
spot
win.
of the schedule is coming up, Paul.
Correct.
The soft underbelly.
Which they're in right now.
Well,
And they just went 1 and 2 in the soft part of the schedule.
no.
No.
I
Yes.
think the soft spot of the schedule
Yeah,
is
I'm
coming
sorry.
up. Washington,
New Orleans and Vegas was a soft part of the schedule.
They haven't played
Softish.
Washington yet.
Washington,
New Orleans in Vegas were a soft part of the schedule, and you beat Buffalo.
Washington,
1 and
Indy,
2.
Washington, Indy, Giants, Chargers.
Right.
All under 500. So if they win, I'm just saying, like, if we want to talk about it, like, if they
We're
win,
in relation to 500 with are the Saints and the Raiders. Under.
I don't
That's all I'm
disagree that
saying.
those games were easier, but you always
If they
had
win the
Buffalo and
games, I'm with
Miami right
Mike.
after that.
Mike,
Yeah.
Well,
I'll be with. I'm with you
but
now.
now
Paul.
they figured
if
something
they
out.
if they win these
I'm
games,
just-
well, that's different.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to.
So now you're changing the narrative.
No,
if something happens
but
that hasn't happened,
I know, but if they
then I'm in.
But if they figured it out and they had to play all the top echelon teams coming up, I'd be like, but they have a chance to like kind of get back to the middle in terms of 500.
5-5 at the bye is in play.
They could.
in play.
Well, yes, when you only have 5 games and we're not at you only have 5 losses. It's in Fred's 12-5 is in play. They've only lost 5 games.
Okay, but 12-5 is ridiculous. Okay,
So is 5-5 at the bye.
not really.
Like just
You're
penciling in
impressed
wins
by-
is like that's
you're
a little
impressed by
ridiculous for a
Washington
2-5
and
team.
No one's penciling them in, Paul. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
He
Before
just did.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, I'm
no,
penciling. them
literally
in.
just did.
He said it's a possibility.
He said it's.
Yeah. No, I.
What else
I,
did you say?
in-
I was joking about it. Yeah. No,
Okay,
it's in
all right.
play.
If you were
It-
if
it's
you were
in play.
teasing me, then that's
In that
different.
case, I
It's-
recant.
But in all seriousness, though, like you don't feel good if they.
I feel great about Sunday.
No, I'm not talking about this week. But if you don't, you don't feel good about Washington and Indy.
But winning both of those games,
Yeah.
if you ask me right now, no. I'll say they'll split them.
boy.
Just like I did against New Orleans and Vegas. I
They should
figured they'd
beat
split
both
'em.
those teams.
I just don't know why.
Yeah, I'm not there
I don't
yet.
know how a win just changes
I'm
the
not
whole.
there yet, Evan.
Everything I've
'cause
seen
I-
in 7
I-
games, one game just changes
I
it.
started out by saying if they beat Miami,
Yeah.
then
That-
we could
I-
get on a roll.
Yeah,
that's because the schedule favors that.
I still would look at the next 2 as being probably a split.
Listen, right now you got Miami's like a 10-point favorite, and they should be.
Yeah.
They should be.
That's all
I'm just saying, if you can upset Miami in Miami,
Things
hold
get
on now.
interesting. Things get
Hold
interesting.
on.
But I just like.
But I don't
like,
even know if they have to beat Miami.
Well,
That's my point. Like if you lose to Miami, but you're competitive against Miami and you kind of go toe to toe with them a little bit, the next 4 games in the schedule, I'm sorry, Paul, they're not good teams. It's Washington, Indy,
I'm
Giants,
sorry,
Chargers.
but
They're
you're not either.
Yeah,
okay, but like if they found something and they flipped a switch
Right.
here
Okay, but
offensively,
so that's different. That's you're,
they-
you're
if they
saying
lose
something happens that hasn't happened yet.
if they lose a 35-30 game to Miami,
Like-
then we're all
No,
going to
like
be
the
like,
other.
okay.
So
he's
just
saying if.
no. If
you.
they flip a switch
Right.
and play at a level that they haven't played yet,
Yeah.
that's different. Then I'm not going to sit there and say no. You're wrong. You're wrong. They didn't play well.
But he follows that
Sunday
up by
they
saying,
played well. If they play the
Right.
next 5 games like they played Sunday, I think
Right.
they're in
and
they're in play.
And he said if you go down to Miami and you're toe to toe with them, he didn't even say win.
yeah, I need to see
That-
the toe to toe.
right,
Like
but-
if people think they went toe to toe in
Okay.
week 2. I don't think they did.
If
No,
what,
I agree
if
with
what
that.
we think they've learned this game shows up in Miami, hold on,
So, all right, this is what I would say. Like
hold on.
when you look
Strap on.
when you look at the
Oh,
when you look at
whoa.
the, I don't know why
We
he
always
always
have
has
to go to
do
that
it. He
place.
always goes blue.
I misspoke.
We always
Where
have to go
is
to
your
that
Strap
mind
it
at?
on. Strap it in. What is that?
So like the
Strap up.
Buffalo game, they're talking about firing coordinators.
Yeah.
They're talking about Josh Allen was
Stinking.
just didn't have a game.
Yep.
And you look at the game at the end of the day, and the stats are like dead even.
Yep.
One team played as well as it's played in about 2.5 years. And another team is looking to fire people. This is my point. That's my only point.
No, you're right. You're right. I just I want to believe. I want to
Right.
believe.
Oh, that's a whole different argument.
and
That's
to-
why Fred was like, actually, no, it wasn't Fred. It was Matt. Matt
Yeah.
comes to me yesterday. He goes, "Okay, why don't you rain on my parade?" I go, "I have no rain at all." I said, "The Patriots."
Oh, this is kind of.
Yeah.
This is.
No. I'm talking about Sunday. The Patriots on Sunday. I'm happy to talk about any superlative coming out of the game Sunday that anybody
Yeah.
took away. I think the Patriots were a better team for 60 minutes on
Yeah.
Sunday, and they almost lost the game because of one mistake, which shows you how small their margin of error can be.
Yeah. But I didn't think I'd see what I saw on Sunday.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
So
That's why I'm not raining on any parade about
so
Sunday.
I'm opening the window a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's cracked. It's so to me.
Boy, I wish I had you as a college professor.
but it becomes.
You got a 71.
You did nothing in the 7 classes that we had, but you came to the 8th one and you did well. That's an A. Thanks.
Super Bowl back on.
But like I think it comes down to O'Brien. Like you knew that it was going to be bumpy to start. You had to have known that. Like they didn't have a lot of talent on offense. Mac needed to be put back together. He needed to figure out the offensive line, and unfortunately, they just went 1-5. Like I think that if you asked true serum Bill Belichick, he would have said like we were going to hope the defense was going to carry us, and we were going to tread water in the first 6 or 7 games of the season, and they just bottomed out. Like that's the difference.
Right, they bottomed. That's the thing is like it was going this way. It
Right.
was going downhill. Until yesterday, it was going in the wrong direction.
And I feel like they obviously could not predict that Christian Gonzalez, Matthew Judon, all the Joneses were all going to be hurt. Like I feel like they didn't predict that at all.
Injuries
in the defense.
never help.
Yeah,
You know,
and it's like when you depended on when he
he
depended on relying on the defense. I think this is where he ended up in trouble.
yeah.
I just think that they didn't. There's no way, even as limited as they can be at times offensively, that they thought they were going to be 32nd in the league in scoring through 6 weeks.
Right.
There's no way. So they probably figured that, okay, we're going to be probably where we were last year on offense until O'Brien figures this thing out and maximizes what he has. And then I really think over the last 6 quarters, he's come pretty darn close to maximizing what they have. And now you get Pop Douglas back from the injury. You kick on Wenu back out to tackle, and like, let's see what happens. Like I kind of thought that this is how it was going to go offensively all along, but I was just hoping that they could keep it together with the defense through the first 6 weeks, and unfortunately they started 1-5.
Why the sad face, Mike?
Well, I mean, I hear what Evan's saying. I just worry that they get into a 12-point hole again or 14-point hole again, and all of a sudden we're out of the game plan and we can't do the things we want to do, and now all our warts come out. Like, there's a lot left to prove, and like I think we did expect a little bit of clunkiness early on, and I think maybe it went on longer than it should have with the play of the offensive line. But I'm not like, all right, we turned the corner and now we're here.
I'll go back to how I started. Maybe next time if you go behind by 10 or 12, maybe the line holds up a little bit. Even when the team knows you have to throw, maybe this configuration of the line is a little better so that you have a puncher's chance of, putting some together. Where in the past, you had no shot.
I know, and I think as Paul was hinting at, I really like what they did. I like him when you're there. I think, City's put together two couple good weeks. Like, he looks like a player inside. I like.
Did you think that was like that much better, like the pass protection in that game? I just think it was a product of the score.
Well,
I'm sure. I think it's part.
But
plays.
And
called,
now listen, when they got hot in 2021, that's how they did it. But they played a lot of games like they did Sunday. They got the lead. Yeah. They made the other team chase them. They were able to protect, and I'm not telling you that can't happen Sunday against Miami.
Isn't the most important thing not like, the evidence that the line was better, but what Mac thinks?
Yeah, I don't think he felt really comfortable. Is my point.
Okay, but if
I agree.
Well, I think there were times where he panicked and ran himself into trouble.
He said it after the game.
I did.
Still looking down at the rush.
The point I was getting to was that I think Strange continues to be.
But when they look at that tape and they say, Mac, you had a couple seconds here. You didn't have to like.
He knew it after the
help.
game.
Yeah, that's going to help.
The one thing I think that was encouraging about, I thought for the first 3 quarters, Mac was fine in this game. I didn't really think he was anything special, and I thought that he was looking at the rush a lot throughout the game. But in the fourth quarter, when the money was on the line, he stood in there, and I think he said to himself, either it's going to blow up in my face or I'm going to win the game, but either way, I can't be scared. I can't go back.
What was huge? Like the biggest play of the game was, to me, the third down throw to Hunter Henry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the pressure that came immediate was blindside. He never knew it was there.
Yeah.
Like if that was like up the middle the way it had been against So in Strange, earlier, or front side, I wonder if the throw would have been the same.
Does it affect it
Because if he had any idea how close Epinesa was,
oh my gosh,
to
inches
to a strip sack there, I don't know if that play ends the same way.
Yeah, he made some good throws in this game in some muddier pockets.
He was outstanding in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and was great in the fourth quarter. And what I think was most encouraging too was he made a lot of like second and third read throws. Like I think that some of the throws that he's made, even over the last couple weeks when he hasn't been playing great, have just been first reads open, balls out quickly, and we're moving. This game, he was able to get off the first read and get his eyes to number 2 and to number 3 and make throws throughout the progressions. And that was something that I hadn't really seen him do for like a month, was move off that, staring down receivers, looking at the first read and kind of having tunnel vision for guys. And in this game, the throw to Pop Douglas in the first half off the play action, that play is set up to hit Kendrick Bourne in the flat on a little whip route, and it's covered, and he comes off it, gets to Douglas in the middle of the field, makes the throw. So those were the encouraging things. Like, that's when a quarterback is trusting the pocket a little bit more, is when it's not just first read and panic, right? Like it's you actually are able to sit there and go through a progression, and he was able to do that in this game.
Listen, and I'm not kidding myself. I'm thrilled with the win, but they're not that great. They're not that good a team right now, and I think this test going on Miami is going to be tougher than home against the Bills, for sure.
I think you have a shot. I do, because I think Miami's in a tough spot, and I think that they're real. I mean, I know we fixated so much on that injury report, which I think is largely fiction. Like, there's 17 guys questionable. They all played. It's like one guy that didn't play, where I think people are looking at that. They were missing Judon and Gonzalez. Like, the other team had 4 starters on defense that was not playing. Like, everybody is dealing with the same thing, and Miami's dealing with the same thing that you are. So I think you got a shot to go down there. If they're missing 3, they're missing left tackle, left guard, and center again, where they were Sunday night. You can get heat on Tua and do the same thing to him that you did to Josh Allen.
And especially if Waddle is TBD with the back injury too, that could be helpful if he also doesn't play.
Yeah, I mean, like Paul said, all these teams have stuff.
Yeah. 2 of their best defensive players banged into each other in the middle of the game. My guess is, like, David Long didn't return. My guess is he's out. He's probably in concussion protocol. Now, Holland, I think, did return, Javon Holland. So I think, he only missed 4 plays in the game. Yeah. So I think he'll probably play. But, like, there's a lot of key personnel on all of these teams, Patriots included.
Yeah,
it's
that is missing,
and we're seeing it around the league. I mean, there were a lot of crazy games this week.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how you guys.
Oh, and the games are also fixed.
Oh boy,
I'm convinced.
How bad did we do this weekend?
Oh my gosh,
everybody was bad.
This was fright night.
Epic, epically bad on my against
night, man. The Dolphins really took it. They took it bad Sunday night.
Yeah,
10 penalties to none.
Yeah,
you know what I thought? I had a
Big
conspiracy theory. This was the Caleb Williams effect this weekend. A lot of one-win teams said, you know what? We don't have to have the top pick, so let's try harder.
Right.
And
they seems annoying.
Minnesota, and
Well, didn't they both? Didn't him and Drake May lose last weekend too?
Yeah.
So
what? Let's win some games.
It's funny though. Like, I'm trying to just appreciate this win right now, because it's like, it's so easy to be like, well, they have this coming up, and then like this is then, and like they could be these guys there. Like,
Sunday
you get
was
so
fun.
caught up. Like, I just am trying to hold on to just the excitement from this win, the good energy right now, and certainly Miami's on my mind, but like thinking about Washington and Indy, and it's like I can't get there yet. I want to enjoy this one. I want to look at this weekend.
The mood
Sunday
question
was
on
fun.
Wednesday will be key.
Yeah, make sure you pay
Well, the
attention
mood
on
in the locker room, that's been.
It was good this week.
It concerns me on one level, because I feel like I said that earlier, that the Super Bowl comment, like the post-game locker room felt like they just won a playoff game.
Yeah.
And it's like you're still 2-5. Like, let's not lose sight of the fact that you still got
I like how you can go back
a
and
big
forth.
hole.
I can appreciate that.
But let me tell you,
you might be going to the playoffs.
Let me tell you,
but I think you're 5-5 in the bye.
But
I do.
And I know there's still a lot of talk about Bill Belichick, but this is where having a coach like Bill Belichick is key, because he knows that he knows how to temper that locker room. Let them have their day and night, but back to work on Wednesday.
Well, that was a good thing.
They'll make sure
but
that
will that work? Will that be the best thing for this team?
Yeah. This team might need to feel itself a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they are right now.
They might need a continuation of
that's
I've been telling you guys how good you are.
But that's why I think it's good that they have a Miami team that will have their full attention. Like, if they had like a Washington team, or a team, just nothing against Washington, it's just a team that not really usually play, and you just usually traditionally stink.
That's funny. I'd much rather be playing Washington this week.
But don't you think they would lay in it? Like, they might be like, well, we got it now, we got it all figured out, and then the team
I just
comes
don't
in,
think
and, like.
I don't think when they lose they laid an egg. That's the difference between me and everybody else in Boston. Like when the Red Sox lose 5 in a row, I don't think they're struggling. I think they're not that good.
Well, they could lose different ways. I mean, they could
Do you
lose.
know what I
yeah,
mean?
they could. No, I see. But they could also just come out and play crappy because they kind of took the foot off the gas. But like, I don't know. I see what you're saying. Of course, they could have a straight up game and
Effort-wise,
just
yeah.
lose.
Like
That's
I
what it
don't
is,
think the
but-
Patriots won because Buffalo laid an egg on Sunday.
No, and that's no, and
I'm
that's
pretty
not the
consistent
case,
on
right.
both sides of that.
Right. No,
Like I think the Patriots won because the Patriots played well.
No, you're grasping onto laying an egg, and I'm just saying like.
No,
of course,
not you. This is
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
They
like
don't
the-
play up to their
we're
This
just
is like the
playing the hits
royal
with
you,
Paul.
not necessarily Mike Dussault.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like the matchup this week because it's an immediate like truth again. It's not like, oh, all right, well now we got to beat the Jets this week, and that's a whole different thing. You know, that's a whole different kind of pressure. Now it's like you have a high flying Miami offense now that look, you haven't beaten Tua. So
and I like it. It's a team you know.
Yep.
You know you have to beat them. It's in your division. You lost already to them.
Yep.
You know, if they beat Miami, all 3 wins against AFC East.
Weird.
Patriots run the East.
Mike, remind me of your key from
While being
Sunday.
3
Yeah,
games out
good
of
start,
first.
right?
No,
I have to
wait,
give
what
you
was
the
the whole-
whole,
give me the whole
like
thing.
the whole poem. Oh gosh, it was like get a score and a stop and see if we can something. Ah, God,
I got you.
Yeah, yours
Hold,
was.
please.
I thought about it like after the game. I was
'Cause it
like,
was a
Mike's
it was
key.
poetry.
It was literally
Start with a stop and a score to see if we can pick ourselves up off the floor.
Good job, Mike.
And his was
it's got some rhythm to it, right?
precisely
It's a
right.
pithy little title.
And of course, it was his guy that got the stop.
Well, Hardy,
You
Hardy's
got to come
pushing
around.
us.
You got to come around on Jabril, Paul.
oh, he's played well.
The guy's
Yeah.
playing out of his mind.
He's making plays.
I think he's played well all year. I bust his.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's
Yeah,
like,
he's
yeah,
making
I
plays.
think he's a chippy, dirty player.
Well, you
but
know
that's,
what's-
but that's
Whoa,
different.
dirty player.
I think
Whoa,
Rodney
whoa,
Harrison was
right.
too, and he's my favorite
There's a
player of all
difference
time.
trying to say your
There's a difference
favorite guy
between
is.
Well, the-
chippy and
the
dirty.
funny thing
Oh, I
was
think
is
he's dirty,
we were
and
talking.
I think the NFL would agree based on his wallet.
We were talking about Peppers on PFF because I was like, they didn't give him a missed tackle on that touchdown, and so I was talking to
Oh,
Evan,
of course
and I'm
not.
like,
He's good. Why would we do that?
and so Evan explained it to me like the PFF math of it all of why they don't credit that as a missed tackle, but it was just one of those funny ones where, and I said it in the post game, like you got to be honest, he's
But I think
he's a little boomer
he's
bust
played
sometimes,
well
but
for the whole year.
I think
not
it's
just
the energy
Sunday.
he brings and the fact that in that post game video, like how often do you see somebody kind of hijack it for a second and insert their 2 cents before Slater takes over to do the thing? So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they
We
got
talk
rid of
about that conspiracy.
Yeah.
But I just think that
What does it
Keeping
mean?
that from us.
the post game energy, like my whole thing was I don't know if it comes down to the head coach, but that a team that doesn't believe in their quarterback and head coach anymore doesn't win that game, right? Like a team that's completely let go of faith of the whole thing. I don't know if they win that
I
game.
think that's a fair point.
And I think most importantly, just watching, was it Evan Washburn tried to interview Mac, and it took him 20 minutes because every single player on the Patriots was coming up to Mac after the game to dap him up, every single guy.
I think they felt really good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that tells you a locker room that knows he's taken a lot of heat, from people like us especially, and is behind him. And I know some of those guys are really close with him off the field too, and I think that they care about him.
But I never really questioned effort, and I still don't.
No.
Now I do wonder a little bit about belief, but
this is the
for
kind of
one,
win.
for one
get a
one
little
day
belief.
for one day they had belief.
Yeah.
When you've done it, it's like the Parcells thing. It's like demonstrated ability.
Yeah.
So now you've done it. You don't have to say if we can just do this.
Yeah. You point to something.
You point and
tangible.
say, well, we did that against Buffalo. We won the fourth quarter. We had 2 fourth quarter touchdown drives against Buffalo. So we did it. There's no need to wonder if they can do it. They've done it.
Yeah.
And for some of these younger guys like City Sow and Demario Douglas, and is it so or so? So, hey, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I have a role here. I'm contributing to wins.
Yeah.
That's great stuff.
I think too, not to winning a game at home, they haven't won a game at home this year.
Right.
That's just something that you experience the fans and the energy from the fans, and I mean it was just going even back to the Hall of Fame induction, it was a really good Patriots weekend. I feel like, and everybody's making fun of me about the good vibes from the Hall of Fame, but it was a good weekend to be a Patriots fan for the first time. It felt like
Yeah,
in a
and
little
this
while.
was-
This is the first time in a long time that I haven't seen fans leave at halftime and not come back.
Right.
Everyone stayed till the end of the game.
Yeah. I mean, this was the featured game in Germany.
Yeah.
So it was good for our German fans.
Oh yeah.
That was big. That was
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
That was where the belief came from.
That's right.
It was
They
Das featured game.
They knew Germany was watching. They
Yeah.
wanted to-
For Deutschland.
The fatherland.
Yep. So
I'm,
good stuff.
I'm back in. They pulled me back in. Just
You
like
are.
that.
I gotta ride the snake with
are.
Evan. Dude.
But-
It's like
Just like that.
But
they
you
pulled
saw-
me
I
back
just
in.
enjoyed Sunday.
You just
I'm
saw
taking
them
it for that.
execute. You saw them, again, the play calling. They executed what the play calls were. You saw some potential in players. So why not get excited?
yeah.
I'm with you.
I know.
Why not?
I'm with you.
Did you-
Like Sunday
I've
was
done
fun.
it
What's the
That
worst
was
case?
fun.
What's the worst case? They go down to Miami and get their doors blown off, and
Right,
we're back to
right.
where we were.
Yeah.
But
I
let-
just
you know.
we've trashed them every single week on this
Yeah,
show, and
yeah.
I totally agree.
rightfully so. So I'm
Yeah.
coming in here and I'm telling you they played well. They had a good game plan.
Yeah.
The offensive coordinator made his paycheck or whatever that saying is. They got their money's worth of Bill O'Brien, and the quarterback didn't lose you the game. And then he won it
He
for
won
you
the
at the
game.
end.
And he was
Yeah.
largely responsible for you winning
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was Bill's 300th career win.
Bill's 300th.
300.
Yeah,
win.
and,
Yeah.
Yep.
take that or
300.
leave that.
Good stuff.
Did you
Fred's-
see?
Fred's
Did you
big.
see what Diggs said after the game?
No, he wants out.
No, he said nothing because he just tucks his tail and runs.
Yeah.
When he loses.
Yeah.
He
Oh, that
he
was good.
pissed.
That was good too.
That's something.
He's on my radar. Like that relationship
Acquisition?
between him and Josh Allen is
He's
on my
clearly
radar.
unhappy.
Well, when you miss him for
Diggs.
touchdowns like multiple times, I can understand why.
But he's unhappy
Yeah.
in bigger
He's.
reasons. Than that.
I kid, but I mean, he's a really good player. Like just that double move we kind of saw coming from above.
tell
We're
you
like
something.
double move.
Don't drop the ball at the 30-yard line. You're throwing a regular pass into the end zone at the end.
Yeah,
Right?
he
That's
did.
true.
He did.
Yeah,
drop
he
it.
had that ball.
It was a tougher catch than it looked like.
Oh, I didn't think it
on
was
the
easy,
Yeah,
road,
but that's why he's great.
Right.
He's supposed
Yeah.
to make
Supposed to
those.
make that
Yeah.
catch.
Yeah. All right, 855.
I got to give Dawson Knox a little bit of slack too. Evidently, he's
Broken.
out.
Yeah.
He's having surgery on his wrist. Maybe that's why
Playing
he
with
dropped so many
playing with a
passes.
broken arm. He's playing the long game.
I mean, I gotta call a spade a spade. That's maybe extenuating circumstances there.
855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. All right. Should we turn it to the listeners?
Sure.
All right. We'll open it up.
Only positivity.
Yeah. Right.
Eric is in New Jersey. What's up, Eric?
I'm sorry, Evan. I gotta. Paul, I thank you for being the voice of reason. Still a 2-5 team. You got to be happy for Mac. I don't think he's a long-term answer. And I just think I thought you saw it last night. Kirk Cousins. I think that's if he plays at the pinnacle of his game, I just don't think that's sustainable with this roster and where he's at. I mean, do you think this win now that the team's kind of rejuvenated? Does it stop this team from trading off an asset to gain one for next year? What's your thoughts on that?
Okay. Assuming that they ever would. It's a good question.
I don't think that they
Does
were.
this change anything for the trading, the trade deadline
I
outlook?
think I'm going to
Well,
be with Paul.
should it?
I was about to
Like,
say.
I don't think that they were in that market anyway. But if they were, do you think it should change it?
I feel the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
just-
if I had a
nothing-
plan to trade
Yeah,
like
it
Kendrick
depends.
Bourne at the deadline, winning that game wouldn't
No.
change my mind. But I don't think they have a plan to change.
Now,
trade
when is the
Kendrick Bourne at
deadline
the
again?
Isn't it
Halloween.
Halloween?
1 week from today.
So 1 week from today. So
Today.
after the Miami game.
Yep.
Right.
If they win the Miami game and they trade Bourne, that would be deflating.
If they beat Miami, are they buyers? at the trade
No.
deadline?
No, I wouldn't do that either. But imagine winning the game and then, assuming you win, Bourne
Oh, yeah.
probably had a
no.
good game.
Right, and then
You
everyone's
can't do
like,
that.
"What the heck?"
I would agree with you. Like
Yeah.
that would be a bad look
Yeah.
if they won the game. And you could be like me, like the wet blanket, and say, "Well, they're just 3-5." But if you beat Buffalo and Miami, and then you come out of that and you trade like quality pieces that
What's
are
the message?
contributing,
What are the
That's
message?
deflating.
Right.
that's bad.
Yeah.
I think that I don't think there's
Yeah.
any chance of that happening. But that would be bad.
I never thought there was any chance of them. This whole sell at the sell what?
They don't have
like
anything.
what
They don't
were-
have anything
like
that's
so
going
you're
to garner
gonna
you.
you're gonna
anything.
trade Josh Uche for a 4th round pick? Like is that
Yeah,
like what?
right.
Is that worth it? If he plays well in the second half of the season, you're going to get a 3rd round comp pick for him if he signs a big deal in free agency. So what are you trading him for? Like what?
Stockpiling day 3 picks.
Right, like what that whole the Patriots should be for sale sign, fire sale, like what are you selling? Like I just especially because all your assets are probably at the lowest value that they're ever
Exactly.
going to be. Like maybe if you can
What if
convince
Mac
me.
has another good game? No.
But like, if you could, you could have convinced me if like somebody was playing really, like if Uche was having a good first half, but he's on a contract year and they're 1-6. Like, okay, fine. Like if you don't see him in there in the future, but every single time a guy plays well, like Christian Barmore now, oh, he's a good trade ass. Like, do you want them to have any good players in 2024?
Well, plus he's got another year. He's not entering the last year of his deal either.
No, he's got one more year.
That'd be stupid.
You could get a year and a half of really quality play out of him, and then see if you can.
We just
re-sign
have
him.
gotten so many of these calls, these questions of like, what could could they be sellers? What could they sell? It's not baseball. Like you can't just start selling the whole team.
The problem with people that are asking those questions, and I would ask the questions too, but I think that they think, well, you can trade Kendrick Bourne for a second-round pick because Mohamed Sanu came for a second-round pick. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't think that people look at those deals as that was a bad deal.
Would you trade Mac and a first-round pick for Trey Lance and Deebo Samuel?
What?
Well,
Trey Lance is not on the 49ers.
Little three-team
Hey,
trade.
stop
there.
working blue.
Where did he go?
No, Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Now we're in
It
the
would have
NBA.
to-
We got three-team deals.
It would have to be what, Trey Lance and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah,
Well,
no, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, click.
No, I don't. I don't know. I don't really
I just
play the
somehow
trade
want to
game.
get Deebo Samuel.
I was gonna say
Like,
Trey Lance and CeeDee
all
Lamb are on the
these-
same team, but not them.
all of these Onwenu, Duggar, maybe like Kyle Duggar's value could not be any lower. He's not had a good start to the season. So you're selling low on Kyle Duggar now? Like what?
Yeah.
Why? To what point?
You should buy low on Kyle Duggar now because this is the chance to get him.
What did Kevin Byard get? It was like a 5th and 6th,
Yeah,
right?
and a
Terrell.
player.
And
Terrell
there was a
Edmonds?
player, a backup safety.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know he went to Virginia
He
Tech.
did. I went to school.
I didn't mean to be disrespectful in any way.
How dare you not credit? To
But
me.
Kevin Byard is an outstanding player,
Yeah.
and that's what you got. Like,
Right.
so that I think that a lot
the
of
math.
people, and I'm not blaming anybody because all it takes is one team to give you too much. But I just think most of the guys that we're talking about as possibilities to be traded are going to get you a day 3 pick, and in some cases, moving up in day 3, like moving from the 6th to the 5th round,
Flipping. Yeah.
Right.
or the 7th to the 6th round. I don't think there's a lot of value.
What would you give up for Diggs, Fred?
He's not.
Dare you,
He's
Tamara.
not.
I
Don't
worry
even
about
say
him.
that.
I
to
worry
you.
about him.
How
Yeah.
dare you?
Good player.
I mean, he
Worries about
wants to go.
Yeah.
It's. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Buffalo.
The anti-talent bias in this town because the Patriots won with guys like Edelman and Welker and Troy Brown. Like
Well,
it's amazing.
you said
to
you
me.
wanted Debo, so why not Diggs?
Because I like Debo's attitude better. And I think Debo, to me, he's just a good football player. Like Diggs is a great receiver.
Debo-
One of the
I
top.
love Debo, but he's bitching all the time.
No,
He held out last year. I mean,
He's also not better than Stephon Diggs.
No.
not as a receiver, but I think he's a better
Yeah,
football player.
You can run him
That's
into the
great.
line more.
No,
That's great. See,
No.
that's why Fred loves Bill because that's what Bill's all about. Like,
No.
can he play on 4th down? Like,
I just
he's
lo-
physical, man.
I-
we
I-
can line him up and run him as a
I
running
just
back.
love me
Why
some-
did I just let my running back do that?
I just love me some Debo Samuel.
Oh, he's a good player, but Diggs is
He's
better.
a great player. I love watching him play, but he's not as good as Diggs.
I don't know. Tim's in Stowe. Hey, Tim.
Hey.
Hey,
I called in because I actually had a story that you guys might
I
find to
like
be interesting. I
stories.
was in San Diego in January, and I was golfing with a guy, and he was an NFL scout.
Yeah.
And
Here we go.
we were talking about quarterbacks, and I told him, I'm from Massachusetts. I'm a big Patriots fan. What do you think about Mac Jones? And he basically said, 4 of the 5 quarterbacks in that draft were overdrafted. And it turns out that he was right. And he said, every year you overdraft quarterbacks. You see teams overdraft quarterbacks. And he said, if you're lucky to hit on one that can just play in the NFL, you should ride it out and build around him because it's much easier to scout linemen, much easier to scout receivers, and really hit on that sort of blue chip talent. And that really stuck with me because it just seems accurate just watching this year play out and watching all these first round quarterbacks that have been drafted that, have all the talent in the world but just don't work out in the NFL. So I think, I'm kind of
Should I
out
get my
on
list out again tomorrow?
on the move on from Mac thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was thinking is, what's the likelihood that we can find a way to re-sign Trent and Mike Onwenu?
Oh God, if they re-sign Trent Brown, I'm out again, Fred. I'm telling you, I'm going Richard Seymour on you for real.
You
got
to get somebody there, though.
Yeah, somebody that I can rely on to play every snap of the games.
You just don't want the top 10 tackle in the league.
All you guys already had, and I like
Great.
Trent Brown, so I'm going to sign off.
All right, thanks, Tim.
So it was Tim's point, like, hold on to Mac? Is that what he was
I-
getting at?
Ride it out.
Yeah.
I'm confused as to because the scout told him he was overdrafted, but then
said if you find someone who can just play,
but
just stick with it.
but I'm thinking that the scout doesn't think they found someone who can just play.
Yeah.
Based on
but that
based
was
on the
before
fact
he
that-
came back against Buffalo.
Correct. That was obviously
Right.
before that, but
It's still generally where I am. Like,
Red Sox.
and I mean, of course, it's a game changer if you're in the top couple picks, but I still think I can see a scenario where Mac is back next year and they make some moves
I
around
think
him. And
more
yeah.
likely than not, Mac
Yeah.
is back next year because I just don't think that they're going to go hog wild into the draft again.
Yep.
And listen, most of the good quarterbacks in the NFL were taken with top 10 picks. I know everybody thinks that they're all busts, but if you want to get a really good quarterback, that's where you have to get it.
Mhm.
There's a couple of Dak Prescotts and Russell Wilsons around, but there aren't many. Most of the really good quarterbacks in the NFL were top 10 picks. So you can just not take one, but I don't, I don't, I don't
guess
know where
which
that
is where
leaves
I'm
you.
at, though, is like, do you just pinch your nose and hope that because you're in the top 10 and you might not love the guy, like, you love the top two guys, but and you're stuck with
I hope
the third
I can
one,
get, but I
and
hope
you're
I
like,
can get one. That's all.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to. I think that the scout was probably right about the overdraft. Like I think it started right at the top with Zach Wilson. I mean, number 2 with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
He was definitely overdrafted. But to say Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields were overdrafted, I think is a little
I
strong.
think that Trevor Lawrence is the one he was saying wasn't. He
right.
said 4 out
but
of
he
5.
but so then he included Justin Fields.
Right. Yeah. I
Maybe
think Justin.
he does believe that.
I think Justin Fields can play. I think I think there's some talent. Like the two guys that are playing right now in Stroud and in Bryce Young. Stroud especially, obviously, but
Playing really
I think Bryce Young has shown flashes of really good ability, and he's on a bad team, and it's tough. And I get why that he can't, the word again, sustain it for 60 minutes, but he's shown flashes of being able to play.
Yeah, I think that I am back in on this season being competitive, but the jury is still out on the long-term future of the team, and that's head coach included. Like I'm still not.
Ooh.
I'm not
took a turn.
sitting here saying that like now all of a sudden like we build around Mac and Bill is back and like let's just no. I mean they still have a lot of issues and Mac still needs to do it again and again and again before I'm like, all right, he's the quarterback of the future and the franchise QB. So it's one game where I can say, all right, that was probably close to their best, but I think that there actually were mistakes made along the way that they could be even better than that in certain areas. But in general, like that doesn't change the long-term outlook of the team, to me at least.
All right, we got a lot of calls, a lot of emails to get to, but Paul needs time to eat, so we'll be right back after that.
Get in on the action with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the New England Patriots. New customers can download the DraftKings app now and play free for millions in prizes using code PATS. That's code PATS only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want on your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
Their first win at home this year. Patriots pull the upset. Maybe that gets you going. Allen on a deep drop, looking to throw, steps up, fires it right, kicked off, peppers his hair, he caught in front of the receiver, Knox, and the Patriots with a takeaway as he falls at the 45. That's a big one right there, and I said it's going to be the safeties today with third rotations versus Josh Allen. They got to stay fresh, play them all. Hell of a read by Peppers, baited him into the pick.
7th interception for Allen this season. The 5th career theft for Jabril Peppers. He drops and he play fakes. He stands in. He throws down the middle and a diving catch by Douglas. Between the numbers. He makes the grab at the 10 with a flag on the play.
He got it. Max complaining here. So I guess some extracurricular activity after the whistle with Max back in the pocket, but he hangs in there and hits Douglas on a little drag route. They tugged his shoulder. Good call from the back judge. So they got the penalty. They're going to decline it and take the game.
Mack with a give. Elliott runs up the middle. Hit in the back.
Yeah.
And he corkscrews his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots!
You got a 10-point lead in Foxborough. When's the last time that's happened? Against your divisional rival, the Buffalo Bills, who are now the hunted. They have been the hunters.
Then it's Murray in the slot right with Kincaid.
Someone got to get the tight end.
In the right slot. 2 receivers.
Tight end.
Davis and Diggs. Shotgun snap to Allen. 3-man rush. He stands in. He's pressured. He steps up. He throws to the end zone wide open. Nobody got the tight end. Dawson Knox. Touchdown Buffalo.
Thank you. Good call, Bob. Full deployment right there. Total spread. We got a penalty, though.
There is a flag.
Offensive interference.
It's a good kick driving Douglas. Back pedaling to the 30, just inside the number. He starts left, and then he slips.
Come on, kid.
Right. He's trying to circle to the outside. Chased by Johnson to the 40, 45, 50.
Nice
and
block.
dive into Buffalo territory. As Tyler Johnson eventually caught Demario Douglas out before the rookie returns it to the Buffalo 45.
This kid is making some plays, making for you on offense, makes one here in the kicking game, almost outkicks the coverage here. It's a hell of a punt. Makes 2 guys miss, gets to the right boundary, and we're in plus zone here.
Motion into the basket. Allen takes the snap. He fakes it right. He drilled up the middle.
Put him down.
Stood up.
Yeah.
He's in goal. Christian Barmore. With Sam Robertson Wise eventually assisting.
That's big. That is huge. Good push by Barmore. Finally in the middle here.
Motion into the basket. Allen takes the snap. He fakes it right. He drilled up the middle.
Put him down.
Stood up.
Yeah.
He's in goal. Christian Barmore. With Sam Robertson Wise eventually assisting.
That's big. That is huge. Good push by Barmore. Finally in the middle here.
Knee down. Martin waits on the snap. He has a swing of the right leg. Kick lifted to the uprights.
He missed it.
He drifted wide. No good.
All right. You got 3 timeouts. 151. You get the ball where the kick was missed from. Don't forget about that.
Digs into the backfield for Allen and takes the snap. Drops back, he pumps, he looks left, he throws it for an open Kincaid, and he missed him. Too tall with a throw for the tight end. Sailing one to the Patriots bench.
Did you hear a
And
whistle?
now there's a late flag. Clete Blakeman, the referee, drops it at the turf.
What the hell is this call? Jack Jones, helmet to helmet, launches. Allen embellishes it.
Defense number 13. 2-yard penalty, automatic first down.
He embellished it. The problem is the ball's gone and he takes 2 steps and hits him. You can't do it, especially to that guy. It's one of the tough quarterbacks. They're going to call it every time.
And now he works with Knox lined up to the left. 3 receivers to the wide side right. 3rd and goal from the 8. Allen throws it to Cook, leaks out at the 5, makes the catch. Got by Peppers, dives to the pylon. Touchdown Buffalo.
So it's Hardy and Cook on this drive that extend plays on poor tackling, out in the flat, left flat. It's a good effort by Cook right there. Nice touchdown.
That's a big series for James Cook. Only his 2nd touchdown reception in his 2 years in the NFL. Back throws it left.
Yeah.
Caught by Bourne. Walks in, tiptoeing to the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots.
And Mac Jones is giving it to Poyer right now because he got a late hit on Jones when he threw. Jones hung in there, makes the throw. He's got to feel good about this one. They're going for 2. Got to huddle up here. Mac Jones settling them down. It's a great throw to Bourne in the left flat. Jones gets hit from behind by Poyer. Still makes the delivery. Excellent job by Kendrick Bourne getting it in.
And now the offense extending the lead to 2 scores. 2 tight ends to the right. Jones takes the snap. He tries to sneak it off the left side. And he did not get there.
I don't understand it.
Mac Jones sliding off the left guard. Goes down Practically the line of scrimmage.
Should have given it to Zeke.
Allen takes the snap. A blitz coming.
Got it.
Stands in. Fires to Diggs. Makes a sliding grab at the 6. Pops to his feet.
Oh,
runs
my
out of the
God.
tackle, and scurries into the end zone. Touchdown, Buffalo.
Was he not down? When he went down and slid, he was not touched. What a throw by Allen. He got cloaked off the blitz, off the backside. He didn't see it.
It is a scoring play, so it will be reviewed. No, he got
Oh,
up.
he's in.
That is an incredible
What a route.
display of athleticism by Stephon Diggs.
That's number one right there, boy. Woo. Wow, what a route.
Sliding,
What an effort.
pirouetting, using his hand to quickly spring to his feet. All in the spinorama en route to the end zone. And now with a snap to Jones, dropping back, fires to the near side, caught by Bourne coming back. He loses the ball. He fumbles it at the 30, and the Bills have it. Buffalo recovers. Kendrick Bourne caught the pass. He turned to the inside, and the ball is stripped free, and eventually recovered by Bernard.
Ball's
Ball
out.
punched
Ball's out.
Jordan
Excellent call.
Poyer.
These
Jordan
safeties.
Poyer.
These safeties are unbelievable.
Allen drops the left foot back. He takes the snap. He leans over the left guard, surging forward, looking for the call, and he got it. Touchdown, Buffalo. The Bills have taken the lead with 1:53 to go.
Man, they got to go for two here.
Stevenson out there for Jones. Takes the snap. Lobs a throw right for Ramondre Stevenson. Runs to the 30. Runs to the 45, 40, 45, 50.
Go.
Still going right sideline, 40. Shoved out of bounds by Bernard.
Yeah, baby.
There is a flag, however.
They're calling another ineligible
Back at the
downfield.
27-yard line.
Who is this
Defeated
guy?
Quarterback Matt Jones, and the same official with the same call.
Who is this clown on the left side? It's called two consecutive drive killers of ineligible downfield off a 1 second throw.
And again, that
There's no
pass is
execution to
released
call it.
in the blink of an eye.
That's what I'm saying. The ball's out. The ball was out on the prior one.
The
On Badarian Lowe.
Involving 3 officials concludes. Here's the call from Clete Blakeman. So they may wave it off.
He better.
They're going to wave it off.
There is no foul on the play. There is no man downfield.
Belichick is losing it. He is losing it on this clown on the left side.
The play clock with plenty of time. They shot the snap to Jones. Extra rush is coming. Jones throws down.
Got it.
Caught by Henry at the 25. Just before Mac Jones took a shot, he threw to the tight end Henry, who makes the grab on the far hash at the 25 with a hit by Taylor Rapp. Jones has it. Looks to his right. Throws it to the right.
Got it.
Touchdown.
He's got it.
Patriots.
There he is. Mike Gesicki off the side of a milk carton. Catching the game winner on a little look in from Jones to the right slot. And it is the drive that Mac Jones has needed. And there it is on his 25th completion of the game. A touchdown to Mike Gesicki off the look in. That's a hell of a job personnel-wise, Billy O'Brien, changing it up. And the ball's put in the perfect spot, mismatch height-wise. That's what Mike Gesicki should be doing.
Allen takes the snap. Nobody rushes. Josh Allen rolls right. Moves up, moves up. He's past the line of scrimmage. Allen's going to try to toss it back. He drops the ball on the turf, and Brendan Schooler slides to cover up. And the Patriots can celebrate their first win at home this year. An upset of Buffalo by a 29-25 final.
You got life, baby. Now all of a sudden, 2-5. And look at the excitement by Mac Jones. And boy, does he deserve this one. He's been hearing it. He's been getting it. The head coach has. On a day where Buffalo comes in and probably thought they're going to have an easy time with you, the Patriots pull the upset. Maybe that gets you going. Maybe this gets you going.
All right. You know what? Bridgestone is the official tire of the New England Patriots and proud partner with Sullivan Tire, New England's headquarters for quality Bridgestone tires. Visit sullivantire.com to find a location near you. Okay, we're back here. 855-PASS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Web radio at patriots.com. It's the email address. It's Deuce, Tamara, Evan, Paul, myself, Matt in the booth. We're cavelling over this win.
I don't know what that means.
We're having a good time. We're
having a good time.
We're full of happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
Now we must do the dance of joy.
Yeah. So now we listen to our listeners. and what they have to say. We'll continue with that on the Ace Ticket Hotline. Alex is in Charlotte. What's up, Alex? Alex? Oh, holdover from the Hardy Show. Andrew's in Boston. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, gang, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, so I've been living in New York the past 2 years. I was in Boston for 9 before that, and I'm here for the weekend for my brother's birthday. I surprised him with tickets to the game over the weekend, and could not have been a better game to come back to.
Nice, for sure.
Honestly, I was more ecstatic after that than the last Super Bowl that we actually won, which is pretty crazy. I don't know if it was
Wow.
being at the game and whatnot. The previous game I'd been to was for my brother's birthday last year, the Bears game, which was the complete polar opposite of what this last one was. And after the Bears game last year, my ears were glued to sports radio. It was probably the first time I really listened to sports radio in that way. And PU has definitely turned into my favorite out of all the ones that I've run through. And
man of good taste.
Being a sports fan in New York, being a Pats fan in New York hasn't been easy. Staying connected with everything, and you guys have been doing an incredible job keeping me grounded. And I've never felt more of a Pats fan since moving, and being able to come back and hear you guys talking about the game and being at it as well too. I've never been prouder as a fan given how the season's gone, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing.
All right.
That's a great call.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you, Andrew.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
I don't know.
Satisfied customer.
Very nice.
We don't get a lot of them.
Better
Actually, we
than
do.
the
We
last
get a-
Super
we get a
Bowl.
lot of
A
them.
little bit of a
That's-
stretch.
that's
You had mentioned that the players felt the same
Yeah.
way. Well, although in fairness, most of those players weren't part of the last.
Yeah, I
round.
don't know if Matthew Slater necessarily felt the same way, but
Todd's in North Carolina. Hey, Todd.
Hey, guys. I really liked Evan's follow-up of the evaluation of the team and how he thought this is what they thought they were doing or what they were going to get from their offense early. And, it just took a while for it to evolve. My question is, what do you think their record would be if their offense was, was playing at this level to start out with? And why did it take it longer to evolve to this stage than that they thought? Like, what was the mistake they made evaluating the offense, saying, hey, this offense should be about at this level at this time and go through there? Thanks, guys. I really appreciate everything you do. Bye now.
I don't think that. My whole point was that they knew it was always going to take a little bit. Like, I don't think that they thought that they were going to come out week 1 against Philly like gangbusters. I think they probably played better week 1 against Philly than they maybe thought they would, like, honestly, on offense. So in terms of like what, obviously the health and the changes on the offensive line were huge in this game. And that was something that you can really point to, that this changed like significantly. But in terms of scheme and like evolution of the offense, I think that's the whole point, is that they didn't make mistakes early on in the year. It just took time. It took time for O'Brien to get it up and running.
What do you think the record would have been, Paul?
Yeah,
I wanted
you feel that
I
one.
wanted your trip to Fantasyland to go first. I'll say 4-3.
That's what I was going to say.
I think they would have beaten Philadelphia, and I think they would have beaten Las Vegas.
Yeah.
4-3.
Definitely
sounds right.
Vegas.
I give them the Vegas one.
Vegas is going to be, I think, the Chicago game of last year, where you're like, how did we lose that game? I mean, I know they were on the road, maybe not entirely the same because Chicago was epically terrible, but the result of last week's Raiders game, it was like, man, they let one get away.
But that's like strict, just total speculation.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I also think they made the Saints look way better than what they are too.
Yeah.
I think, obviously you can't play the like, what if they didn't turn the ball over so many times? Maybe the Saints wouldn't have had so many points, but the Saints were not as good as what the scoreboard looked like.
Is it true that in the Saints game, the defense went into the game ranked 10th and came out ranked 8th?
Oh, I don't know.
Patriots defense?
Yeah. That's what somebody from our PR staff told me.
It doesn't sound right, but I don't know.
Like ranked in what?
Yeah.
Well, overall defense.
Like yards.
You know how they do it. Yeah.
Because I think they're
That's how they
ninth
did
now.
it 20 years ago.
No.
Bill still does that. Oh, we were
Right.
We're 9th in yards. Okay,
His
Bill.
disdain for the greatest coach who's ever lived is really
Now, just old,
admirable.
Just old, archaic stats.
Defensive stats never made sense the way they rank defenses.
No.
It was
no, but like I don't care what they would like. This is where I was sort of going Evan's side. Like I don't care what they were ranked. They didn't play well defensively against the Saints.
Yeah,
they didn't. I know they didn't give up most of the points. I know the offense was responsible for a big chunk of those points. When they played defense that day, they didn't play very well. And they didn't give up a lot of yards that day, so they maybe moved up because the other team didn't have that many yards to go to get touchdowns. But they got touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Gotta
they scored
watch it.
34 points. I don't know. Like, I think you could make stats say kind of whatever you
Take
want.
your volume stats and shut up.
Gerard in Vermont, fine, I'll do it. I'll give
Okay.
GM Bill credit for a personnel decision.
Oh.
Bringing J.C. Jackson back was a good move, and he's been much better than I thought. With the injuries to Judon and Gonzalez, the fact that they can still kind of cover and rush the passer is really encouraging. Also, Barmore and Peppers are difference makers. Peppers is stepping up as a leader. Really hope they keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I think Evan, I keep sticking my head with Evan's like, I don't know, he just still looks like J.C. Jackson. Like, he still just kind of looks like J.C. Jackson. He makes a couple plays, he gives up a couple plays. You know,
I really agree with the Peppers part. I do think he has stepped up as a leader, too.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the thing. And Barmore, we talked about at the top of the show. Like, I love Barmore, but I haven't seen that guy in a
and that's
long
what we've
time.
been waiting for, right? This is what we thought we were getting. And
he was dominant.
Yeah, he was really good against the Raiders, too. And I had talked to him last week, and I was like, how you film against the Raiders is pretty darn good. And he was like, no, not good enough. And I was like, oh, like, okay.
Oh, he's got high bar.
Kind of dominated. And he was like, no, not good enough in the pass rush. Didn't think he was impactful enough in the pass rush.
I agree.
And then this week he comes out and he's just
this game.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I guess he was right. I guess there was another level that.
And this is where I always I get in arguments with Fred, because when he plays a game like this is what people told me he did last week, and this is what I'm telling you. No, this was
week.
Dominance. I thought he was like one of a small handful of the best players on the field.
Had to have it.
I thought he was really good.
They need him to continue to play that way if they're going to have a real chance of winning some more games here.
And JC been okay.
Yeah.
Some of the stats I've seen out there about JC and how good he's been, watch the film.
But they needed okay.
Yeah.
With all the injuries
it was
back
just
there.
they
needed
desperate.
okay.
And to get an okay guy at this point, when you
Yeah.
look at last year, the injuries struck, like who they kind of were stuck with there at the end, like, he's been fine.
No, he's been okay, and they needed okay. I totally agree with that. But there were plays on the film that he did not give up that he should have given up over the last 3 weeks.
Mike writes in, did Von Miller play? Didn't notice him once. Sino Wenyu, he's a leader.
I don't think he played much.
No, he's still working his way back from that ACL.
Sino Wenyu, he's a leader.
Six
Jennings and Barmore have both stepped up on D. I like what I saw after the game in the locker room. Number 5 stepping up and being a leader. A win this week, and they have a shot to make the playoffs.
I'll tell you, though.
Sorry to spoil that narrative.
The Anthony Jennings, he's getting a new contract here, right? Like, that is just like, I feel like the slam dunk of all slam dunks. The Anthony Jennings
Like, for
is
what?
going to be for nothing.
No. Like for like, what would he make?
Oh, I don't know, but he'll be back.
I need to know. I need to know what he's going to get.
You think
like
they give him
before I
some
tell
money?
you. Yeah.
No, I just think he'd be game. Like, I don't know. It's just their kind of guy. He looks just like their kind of guy. He's playing tough. Like, he's not really going to appeal to anybody who wants a primary pass rusher, but I just think it's going to be one of those middling gunna deals, and I like it.
I was actually asking non-snarkily for a change because I have no idea what kind of a contract a player like that would get. My gut instinct with Anthony Jennings would be he can't wait to get out of here because I got to sit around and be inactive while,
Yeah.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but Evan consistently mentions a person who's always active and always has a role in the game who I've never really seen do anything.
Oh.
And he's inactive like the first couple of weeks. I would think a guy like Jennings, if he can get something on the open market, would go. Now, if he can't, you might as well stay where you're comfortable and you already know the system.
Who's the guy?
Mac Wilson.
Oh.
You make fun of him all the time.
God. I have a rant about that in a second. But
I can't wait to
Anthony
hear it.
Jennings.
See, every once in a while, Tamara, they agree with me. Every once in a while.
So Anthony Jennings, I say this like 100% sincerity. Where would they be on the edge without Anthony Jennings right now?
No.
He's played really well.
Like Judon, Uche, Keon White, all missing from this game, and he played extremely well. Like, and I'm not saying he's like an all-pro player now, but like he played really well for what your expectations are for Anthony Jennings. Multiple weeks now.
Yeah.
He has set the edge of the defense, and he's pushed the pocket.
So if you're
and he's
him,
done his job.
Couldn't you see him like saying like, now that you had no other options, you let me play and I can play.
Yeah.
Like screw, I'm going somewhere else.
I mean, I could see that, and I mean, I kind of relay it, not totally the same, but Vrabel talking about, I was stuck behind two guys. I wanted to get a chance to start. I wanted to stay.
He was stuck behind guys that were good.
Right. Well, Judon's good.
Like, he was stuck behind, like, I even forget. I'm going to mess it up now with the timeline, but I mean, Greg Lloyd maybe? I don't know. Like, there was some great outside linebackers.
Not Joey Porter yet.
I think Joey Porter came later.
Yeah.
Maybe Kendrell. I don't know.
Cameron Hayward.
But I'm just saying, like, you're getting the chance now. He's finally getting a chance to play. I mean, they have nothing else, like Evan said, but he's getting an opportunity. He's playing well.
I think he's played really well, and I've had him. He's been one of my early additions to the good list in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's made some plays. I agree.
Because he flashes right away.
He flashes early, which I think this team needed some of that energy coming out of the gate, and he even did it. What was that? What was the game? Was it the Raiders game that he had the TFL like right off the bat? Like he's done it a few times, like where he's made a play early.
He got Josh Jacobs like a 5-yard loss in the first
He's
round
doing
of the
that
game.
stuff in preseason too. Just getting around tackles, showing a little bit more shimmy than he had. I mean, he's a big, long, powerful guy. He's just a good fit for their defense. I mean, I just to the point that we always make about injuries happen, use it as an opportunity to play some young guys. He's not a young guy at this point, but I still think he's getting an opportunity. And it's like, all right, well, you don't have really any depth at edge right now.
If he has no options, I think you're right. I think he'll end up staying here on a very affordable contract just because, like, why would you leave and
I just wonder
disrupt if you don't?
So Keon White's coming back, right? And you figure that he would cut into any future playing time a little bit for Jennings. But to Mike's point, like, isn't paying Anthony Jennings like a team-friendly deal more Patriots than overpaying Josh Uche?
Yep.
Right. So like that, like I could see his
Right.
opportunities increasing here next year because Uche is not going to be here anymore. Maybe Keon White's looked at as a guy that's
Tully Banter
more of like a defensive end instead of a true edge guy in the future. And now all of a sudden, they're playing together instead of
totally
taking
plausible.
him off the field.
Alec in Berlin
I want
says,
your Mac
greetings
Wilson.
from Deutschland.
The Mac Wilson.
And Semper Fi Matt, just curious, what was your MOS? I was 0311 and 8541. You'll have to explain to Fred what that means.
All of us, please.
I don't know what an 8541 is, but I was also an 0311.
Okay, 0311.
Yeah.
Grunt.
Explain to me like I'm 5.
Basic rifleman.
Okay.
That sounds terrifying.
Nice. Sounds terrifying. Nice team win yesterday. Maybe I'm showing my age, but what's the deal with the gritty? And how does one know a good gritty when you see one? I have no idea what Gesicki means when he says his version after the game-winning touchdown was the worst ever.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fun, but both his and Matt's look the same to me.
Yeah, they were both.
Those are the white guy
Horrible.
gritties
Terrible.
with no
White guy
rhythm.
gritties. Go watch Justin Jefferson do the gritty.
Yeah.
Or pretty much any other player in the NFL.
Yes.
Or my son Campbell, he can do it too.
Oh, yeah? As far as the game and the rest of our season goes, we might not pile up more wins, but a consistent O-line will go a long way to playing respectable football and build towards next season. Maybe we don't need to move on from Mac, as we see he can make plays with pedestrian receivers as long as he has time to read the offense. Focus on building a solid to elite offensive line through the draft, as well as a number 1 wide receiver. It would certainly make the rebuild, or whatever this is, a bit easier if we did not have to start over at the quarterback position. We could still finish the season with good draft position. We could be in the running for MH Jr. Marvin Harris.
So you're going to be picking in the top 3.
Yeah. Or bust.
That email was all over the place. Like, Mac showed he can make plays, so stick with him and build around him. But they're going to be like
Bad enough to get
picking
third
second
overall.
to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, I don't know how those two things equate.
How can Mac have a good rest of the year and they still finish third worst team in the league?
Yeah, and
Basically.
I don't know. I think if they play like they did Sunday, they're going to find a way to win too many games to get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Absolutely. I mean, they might have already won too many games to get him though.
They're right there.
No,
I like that. It was like.
No, there's like 12 teams right now.
It was an amazing day. Like everybody won except for Arizona.
Yeah, it's a logjam.
Like the Giants won, Denver won. Denver never wins.
I think that we get a lot of the Marvin Harrison Jr. stuff. Like, do people realize that he's going to go number 2 in the draft? Like, I don't.
That's what I just said. Did
Right.
Get up to number 2.
Like,
Did
like
you
this
happen
is
to watch that game, by the way?
Which one?
The Michigan game?
No.
I mean, the Ohio
Ohio
State
State.
Penn State game.
No.
There was one guy worth watching on the field.
Yeah.
The whole game. It was him.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He won the game by himself.
He is. The only way he doesn't go number 2 overall is if 2 quarterbacks go off. If Caleb Williams and Drake May both go 1-2, but then he's going 3. So if you're
right,
going to have to
require probably a trade. But yeah. And when I say there was no other players, I know that a lot of people watch college football. Penn State's got a good defense. They have some good players.
Both teams have a lot of good NFL
They have some good players on both sides of the ball, but Marvin Harrison was just a cut above everybody on the field the other day.
So I'm going to tee up, Evan. So Uche didn't play, and so basically just moved Mac Wilson kind of outside of his comfort zone, which is usually – I'm not going to be snarky. Usually playing off the ball. So playing kind of off the edge as a pass rusher. And Evan, what did the film say?
I want to know like what their obsession is with Mac Wilson. Like people like ask me all the time, like what's their obsession with Miles Bryant? I get it with Miles Bryant. I know he's not the greatest player of all time, but I can see why they like him in a specific role in their defense. Mac Wilson to me makes zero impactful plays anytime they put him out there. I just don't understand what the obsession was with this player. And then you look at, I think a perfect example is the 28-yard pass to James Cook, which was the one extended play that Josh Allen made in the entire game. And Mac Wilson is spying Josh Allen, and he's in a freaking blender. He has no idea where he's going. And it's like, why can't Marty Mapu do this? Like, if he's going to get lost anyways, like, then why not let the rookie get lost and see what the rookie has? Like, why? This is when people talk about, like, they want to play the young guys and they don't want Bill to play. There's not a whole lot of examples of that because there's just not a ton of young guys healthy on the roster right now.
That'll be next week.
But one example of it through and through is why Mac Wilson was in the game plan and Marty Mapu wasn't. It makes zero sense, and maybe that 28-yarder to James Cook doesn't happen if the spy actually can close on the quarterback and disrupt the quarterback from making that throw. It's unbelievable.
So 15 snaps for Wilson, 10 for Mapu.
Yeah, well, maybe that'll be the next thing that he takes our advice on. Owenu at tackle and like, Pop as the focal point.
I know you made the whole joke about
you didn't hear that. I just called him Pop.
Oh, thanks. Sorry. I was
already
on to my question.
I am not anti-nickname.
But
his family named him DeMario.
We make these things of like, they shouldn't listen to us. Like we're just the guys on the radio. Or,
right.
But like, Paul, you've watched, and Fred, you guys have watched football for like 30 years. Like I think that carries at least a little bit of weight. Like, I mean, I've watched football and studied it closely for, I don't know, since like 2006, whatever it is, 16, 17 years. I mean, like we do watch this stuff. Like I don't think like you could just take our opinions and just chuck them. You know what I mean? Like I know we're not at that level of coaches and knowing their schemes and everything that goes on, but it's like we care, we watch, and like it's frustrating because on one hand I'm like, oh really? Michael Onwenu's better at right tackle than Vidarian Lowe? Like I mean, maybe they have alternative, other reasons why they're playing guys like that and trying to make something happen, but I don't know. I just think that
I want to bring that up too.
A lot,
with the do you guys
his press conference?
Yeah, all three of you. Okay, did you guys hear him?
Who?
Yeah, his response.
Owenu.
A little bit.
Owenu, yeah.
What did you guys think of the tackle reaction? So maybe that's part of the reason why we haven't seen it until now.
You don't want to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was getting the vibe of like, I don't want to do it.
I didn't see it.
It just seemed kind of lukewarm.
Yeah.
I don't think he's an overly talkative guy to begin with.
No,
I think
he's pretty chill.
He's pretty quiet, laid back. But I got the impression that Tamara did. I thought that reading between the lines that maybe this is something that they've talked about and he kind of is balked at. Now, the other part of it has been health.
The fact that Bill never says about a player, we talk.
We're going to talk about it. Well, he said we're going to talk. Like they asked if they're going to keep him there, and he said we're going to talk about it. And I actually kind of downplayed that in the post-game show, but after listening to Owenu, I wonder if maybe
you got to make sure it's still
maybe it is something that they have to sort of.
But he needs some coaching.
But from
you would think he'd be able to make more money if he played well.
That's what I was just going to say. Contract year, you can play tackle now. Like you've got.
I wonder if he feels like he's not fully healthy and he's going to get exposed out there. Like I said. Evan's stats, okay, your boys would tell me that he again led the league in fewest amount of time to throw, and they were second shortest average air time for passes.
Air yards, yes.
Air yards, sorry.
I'm just helping you.
I don't mean to screw up the nerd stats.
Air yards.
Okay. But as you know, I like to use these things when they suit my arguments.
Wow.
So
I'm going to remember this.
Maybe the pass protection was better than it was with Vidarian Lowe, but maybe it wasn't like this be-all, end-all solution either. And I do think that a big part of the success offensively is you found a way to have success right away. So you got up 10-0 instead of down 10-0. And Fred said maybe they'll be better equipped in the future if they fall behind. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see them being better equipped to do it. You know,
that's what we got to see. And if they go down to Miami and fall behind, you're going to get right in your face immediately. You know.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Paul, I watched that Miami game back last night from week 2. And every single time they tried to drop back pass, he got sacked. It was like every time they tried to dial something up down the field, he got sacked. But he completed like 70% of his throws just throwing, 5-yard passes. But every time they tried to load up and throw something down the field, or it was, 3rd and 10 and they had to throw it down the field, he got sacked. I understand Big Mike's reservations about playing tackle because he's not a tackle. Like he's not built like a tackle. His footwork isn't like a tackle. He plays so much better at tackle than Vidarian Lowe that it just makes it look like to everybody like, why wouldn't you just keep him there forever, right? Because he's just so much better than what you have. But he does have a shorter corner because of his foot speed and his footwork than most tackles do. That's not to pick on him and say that he's bad at it, but he's a natural guard. Like that's how he's built. That's how his feet are.
He knows himself, right? And he must look at it as, I'm going to get into free agency without my best tape out there.
Yeah.
And it might be on paper it might be lucrative to say, well, this guy can play tackle and guard. But if someone wants to sign him as a guard, maybe he's not getting what he should because he didn't play enough of it. Hit the year heading in. And it's I don't know. It might just be as simple as what Evan said, comfort.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't feel as comfortable.
I wonder if McDermott could still be in the mix on the right side, and maybe if so, is going to push Cole Strange into the mix. Like is that something they could do too?
That could be.
If you get on when you back at right guard.
I think I would feel better about that because I don't think So is all that good. Oh,
you don't think so?
Let's put it this way: he's not ready yet. Let me put it that way. I'm not telling you he's not any good. I think there was some pressure, I thought, in those gaps on both sides. I thought Strange got walked back into the quarterback a couple of times, and I thought So did too. Now I don't watch it like Evan does, so maybe the film doesn't.
No,
maybe the film doesn't back that
There's
up.
some intriguing traits with So. I think the one thing that I would say though is that he's getting a whole lot of help from David Andrews. Like David Andrews is opening with his eyes to the right side like 9 times out of 10 when they drop back to pass. So they've done a really good job in the last 2 weeks of making sure that City So is not on an island with any sort of elite pass rushers. Like he had like Tim Settle a couple times one-on-one, but we're not talking about.
The Ed Oliver injury was big.
Yeah, like we're not talking about the Eagles in week 1 putting his name Simmons over not Simmons, the rookie that I'm thinking Carter, thank you, over Antonio Maffi and just like making him block him one-on-one, or like they've done a nice job of protecting him the last couple weeks, and they also have played some interior D lines that aren't very good. So it's been better than Maffi was, just because he's handled moving parts a little bit better, like the stunts and the blitzes and stuff like that up front have been a little bit cleaner with So, but I wouldn't say that it's been he's been fine.
I just have to pray that one of those guys works out, like one of them, like Maffi.
I think they'll be fine.
Well,
like in terms
starters,
of,
or
I think they'll be offensive linemen. Yeah, like if you let a win you go, like I think one of those guys will start. Like, and maybe he won't be as good. Like I think Mike is pretty good, but I just think that you can work around that. Now I think Vidarian Low level and what Calvin Anderson did against the Miami game the first time, you can't work around that.
Yeah.
You got to at least get in the way.
And that's what Mike is, that's what Big Mike did, was that he's like at least at that, like, okay, we can get by with this level at tackle. I think that he could get better at it in terms of the footwork, but he's not, he's built the way he's built, and he's not like a long, strider, and that's what tackles need. They need to really get a lot of depth out of their stances and make guys run the arc.
Will writes in, I started the season staying positive, then things soured. Evan told me to embrace the tank, and I jumped on board. Now they win, and I don't know what to do. When they suck, I'm upset. When they win, I'm upset. In all honesty, a part of me was happy when Kendrick fumbled because I thought I'd get the best of both worlds, a competitive, heart-wrenching loss. I find myself asking, does Bill still have a fastball? Is Mac elite? Are we trade block sellers? Is this a replay of 2001? This constant back and forth is tearing me apart. Mike, how am I supposed to feel?
I'm with him. I have no idea how to feel.
And that's why I just said, just enjoy this win and look forward to playing Miami this week. And that's
what I did
where
on
we're
Sunday.
at. You know?
I had I can't remember the last time I had that much fun in the game.
What does it mean?
It was a fun game.
My heart was racing the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to type my
coming
thing.
down, I'm coming down in the
Poor
elevator,
guy.
and he's talking about his heart racing. I'm like, what's wrong
It really
with you?
was. I know.
You're not even on the team, guy.
I definitely felt nauseous.
We are adjacent to the team, Paul.
I'm team adjacent.
Well, you know what it was though, Paul.
My heart wasn't
seriously,
racing.
was that it was nice to
It's
care,
worn off for you.
because sometimes you get so mad at them over the course of a game, which probably speaks to when you're watching your team and they keep making mistakes and they're doing the same thing over and over again, and it's hard to reconnect with passionately wanting this team to win, and then they start to play well and they're doing things good, and you're like, man, the energy in the stadium is great, and this is what it's supposed to be like, and that I think that's I wanted
It's
it. I
funny.
wanted it for them.
I was actually thinking, obviously the best thing is the Patriots could have moved the ball and run out the clock on offense. But the fumble, and I thought it at the time, if they weren't going to get a first down, I'd rather fumble there and give them a short field.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any faith whatsoever they were going to stop Buffalo. But I had faith that they might be able to go down and get a field goal at the end.
Yeah. So
they had a lot of time. They had 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Ultimately because the short field
and 2 timeouts
allowed Buffalo to score quickly.
Yeah.
So
Kendrick Bourne should have been on the up list.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if they were going to go,
it
still would have been. If he doesn't fumble, it's still 3rd and long.
You love those. You love these where it's a weird nuance where a mistake actually helps you in a weird sort of way.
Yeah, and I'm not trying. Believe me, I'm not trying to say it helped them.
No,
okay?
But
the better thing would have been if he just got tackled and then they got the first down on the next play.
Yeah,
that would have been the much more conventional way to win the game, and I think we all would have felt better about it. But I think that the way it worked out, it saved a lot of time.
Yeah.
Spee in Fresno. By the way, I'm driving home after the game, and I'm listening to one of the post-game shows. I don't know on one of Paul's stations, and sure enough, next on the phone, Spee in Fresno, and I have to say, I feel a little
cheated
bit,
on.
Yeah, jilted there.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I feel like we get cheated on. I hear some of our guys.
I don't
out
like
there.
that, but he did mention us.
Oh yeah.
Oh, then I take it back.
Yeah. Loving the show today. Good energy, fun arguments. Evan has obviously proven an awesome addition. One of my favorite things about him is how he'll flip from a talented, reasonable, rational analyst into a reactive fan drenched in recency bias.
This is true.
Oh, yeah.
It's very true.
He was despairing the future at 1-5, but now after beating the Bills, Evan is penciling in games.
Bro, 2-5, way different.
I love it. It gives me hope I didn't know I might have. Don't listen to Paul, Evan. On to 5-5, LFG.
Hey, listen. Like I said before the break, my long-term outlook of the team and the franchise and the quarterback and the head coach has not changed one iota. My short-term outlook of of this season, and I think that this is where, it's not even just my fandom; it's also just my job, right? That I could not watch them lose every freaking game. All right, it was going to drive me up a dang wall.
Right.
And
I totally agree. And I didn't expect him to lose every game.
Selfishly, I did not want to get on a plane on Saturday to go to Miami to watch the 1-6 Patriots lose by 30 points to the Dolphins. I just didn't want that. So I will tell you
do you want the 2-5 Patriots to lose by 30 points? Just asking for a friend.
I have some hope.
Have
the
2-5 side in my mouth.
No, but you want the 2-5 Patriots to lose by 30 points is what I said. I don't want them to lose by 30
but
points.
that's not the mindset getting on the plane. I totally agree with that. You have a little hope.
I'm going to be totally
sure. Why not?
This is more it's less about my fandom at this point, and it's more about my selfishness of us having to cover the team. And I was looking down the road. I'm sorry, Fred, but I was looking at Germany and being like, oh my goodness. I have to go to a different country
and
halfway across the world
I hear you.
to cover a 1-8 football team against Gardner Minshew.
No. 2-7. I don't know why you guys exaggerate.
And I was like, oh dear.
No,
Lord.
I hear that.
Still got to watch Gardner Minshew play.
Yeah, but maybe they actually beat Gardner Minshew now.
I laugh at fans when they say, "Oh, I'm embarrassed." I'm like, "What are you embarrassed for? You weren't the ones out there. So what?"
It's one of my favorites.
But in this case, going to Germany, if we were 1 in whatever, I was going to be a little embarrassed, you know?
Yeah, it would be weird to host all those events and parties and different things.
You're repping,
get people excited.
Yeah,
like,
you're trying to tell people be our fans.
Yeah.
And then
I just didn't want to make the flight.
Fred's gonna be walking around. Do you see the game on TV against the Bills? Do you see the game on the TV against the Bills? Yeah, do you see,
that's who
Bills,
we are.
Bills.
Don't pay attention.
We beat them.
I know we lost.
We keep track of records differently in American football.
It's that game 3 weeks
ago.
ago.
But you saw the game.
You saw the win.
Every game is its own championship. We won that one.
But I think part of this comes down to what you were thinking and what you thought heading into the season and all that kind of stuff, the expectation stuff. Because I don't know, did you really think they were going to lose like 34-0 every game? I just looked at that.
But I didn't think they were going to lose 34-0 in one game.
No. But my point is, like, if you went into the going into the season, I thought there was a really good chance they were going to be 1-5. It just didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen. I thought they would lose to the Jets, and I thought they would split with Vegas and the Saints. Mm-hmm. It turned out they beat the Jets and lost both of those games. But I think it comes down to what you thought. Like, I still think they're going to win somewhere around 7 games.
But it's different to think that they might be 1-5 and then see how they played to get to 1-5. And I didn't expect that.
Yeah, but I didn't expect them to play as well as they did against Philadelphia.
No, but I expected them to be competitive,
right.
but not quite have
for the most part, they have been.
Well.
They had 2 really, really bad games.
Yeah. Yep.
But I don't expect them to turn it over 3+ times every game either.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, they've had how many turnovers? Like 11?
But
I don't expect them to turn it over at that rate all year.
But at some point, you can say, well, that's who they are. Yeah. They're the team that has the big minus in the turnover battle.
But this is like why you needed, and I kept on trying to tell myself this, that you needed to look at the whole, like, picture. Like, firing Bill and getting rid of Mac over 6 games was not, like, that's not the way to go about it. Like, you got to look at the whole season and look at the whole body of work. And I was with Paul. I thought that they were going to start rough. I figured the offense would take a lot of time to get put together by O'Brien. They had a tough schedule, so they started 1-5. But if this team finishes 7-9 or whatever, 7-10, whatever the math is now, but they won, a bunch of games late in the season because they started to play better later in the year, then that changes how you approach the 2024 offseason.
Sure it does.
And that's where I'm at. The whole path to the playoff thing and everything is like kind of tongue in cheek.
And I also
that's where I'm at.
And I'd also look at, they have a couple more of these games against, these opponents that we put in a different category, like Buffalo. Like it's Miami, it's the Chiefs, it's Buffalo again. So I'll be watching. If this turns out to be a one-off and they end up 7-8 wins, they play better, but they just beat up on all the bad teams. Like, that's why I had so much fun Sunday. Like, it wasn't just that the way the game ended and the way the game unfolded. It was against a good team.
They haven't beaten that. They haven't won that game in 5 years.
With the win, should the Patriots buy a billboard down the street from Ralph Edwards Stadium or whatever it's called? And
right.
the way the Bills
it's called
do
Highmark.
Best fans in the league.
Sure. Why not?
Should we do that?
Trolling.
Why not?
No, they got their
That's
own
what
problems.
they do.
They got their own problems right now.
That's what we do.
Haley Steinfeld.
That's right.
I was right about that.
Haley Steinfeld.
I knew it.
She's taking down
Did
the
you
Bills
take
dynasty.
Did you take a selfie with him in the tunnel?
No. I did have a nice moment with our quarterback in the locker room after the game, though.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talking lacrosse?
Yeah. Well, that was Friday.
I will say this is the one game that I didn't have to keep myself up to watch. Like,
actually,
I could actually watch the game without feeling like I needed 10 coffees.
You got to tell Fred about Mac busting your chops about lacrosse a little bit. Fred's a
Oh
lacrosse
God,
guy.
yeah, that was Friday. So he has a lacrosse stick in his locker. I can say that, right? I don't know. We're not supposed to really talk about what's in their lockers. But
because he just said it.
He has a lacrosse
It's out
stick
there
in his locker, and someone else had asked him did you play lacrosse? And he said yes. And I said, I play lacrosse too. And he was like, oh, what position did you play? I said, long stick midi. And he looks at me, he goes, the pole is taller than you. And I was like, that's accurate. Yeah, that's true. And so that was that.
That's hilarious.
That was the story.
Travis in West Virginia. Did Sunday's game change your opinion of whether or not Josh Allen's style of playing backyard circus ball is sustainable?
No, we finally caught him on an off day.
What a troll!
Josh Allen is
maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow you'll get me with that one.
Oh my goodness!
Jesus, take the wheel. No, not today. I think we finally caught him on an off day, and
Yep.
it was been waiting for
But the
him.
Haley Steinfeld effect it's on my radar.
The Patriots, The Patriots did that. The Patriots got the pressure. Like, that's like, he didn't want to do that. When he threw the ball in less than 2.5 seconds, he was 17 for 17. Again, I'm going to go with the nerd stats again.
Yeah. Look at Paul.
It's true. He's digging in
Like,
gen.
the Patriots did that to him. He didn't decide, I'm just going to go run around and try to throw a ball in the back of the end zone 10 seconds after the play started. The Patriots made him do that.
Rich in New York, big fan of the show. Great win over the Bills. With the Belichick contract being leaked, most likely being leaked by Belichick, I couldn't help but thinking that BB channeled his inner George Costanza in the episode where George is working at Play Now, and the boss wants him gone and offers to pay 6 months of the one-year contract to get him to leave immediately, and George then says, you see, if I stay the whole year, I get it all. Everything always comes back to Seinfeld.
That is correct.
Let's see.
I thought you were going to say when he was driving around with the World Series trophy
Right.
attached to the back of the car, trying to get fired from the Yankees.
A lot of people saying how bad the Bills played. You know, I think the Patriots forced some of that, as Paul just said.
I do. I don't think
they
the
didn't
Bills
have their best game.
I'm not going to pretend and be
Yeah.
sunshine.com guy. Like, I don't think the Bills played well, but I think the Patriots had something to do with that.
But also, for the record, the Bills have not been playing well for like a month now.
No.
Like since that
Well,
Miami game.
And that's why I think most people are saying what they're saying about the Bills.
Yeah.
Like, if the Bills were rolling and then they came in and played like that, I
Sure.
don't think people would say, well, Buffalo did it. They would just say, oh, Buffalo had a bad game.
Their OC is.
Buffalo's not played well.
Donnie in Pittsburgh, I come bearing a white flag as a representative of the Mac Jones haters. I couldn't be happier as a fan for the growth he showed, and the growth of our offense has taken over 2 weeks in terms of O-line play, running back play, and wide receiver play. They deserve us to pat them on the back this week while we are cautiously optimistic in the face of a Miami away game. This could be something. They need to beat Miami for me to fully say this is something, but Mac and this offense have won back the belief of at least one heavy hater. A shred of negativity. Mac needs to stop the audible into delay of game thing he has done 2 weeks in a row.
I don't believe that email.
Yeah.
I don't believe you were a heavy Mac hater and then one game changed your mind.
Yeah.
I don't
says
believe
he
that.
needs to see more, but he's coming
feel,
around.
I feel like this made me raise my eyebrow. I can't really do that on my own.
I think
but
he's just saying, he's just saying ceasefire for a week.
It's
you know?
That's not how I read it. Like,
No.
they have the guy is what I read.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I was wrong. I'm waving the white flag.
Yeah.
That's how we started the email.
Yeah, definitely not waving that yet.
So it's like not everything has to be so definitive. Like one game tells us everything we need to know. Now this game tells us everything. You know, it's
right. I
there's a little-
kind of like the
little
way
glimpses.
Evan said it. You know, my long-term views of the quarterback and the team really
Haven't
are
changed.
largely unchanged.
Let's see. Mark says,
Exciting.
I love when we get
giving me credit.
I love when
I
we
always
get
give you credit when you agree with me.
I love that Paul always has the receipts. Like,
oh yeah,
it's amazing. It's
Oh
incredible.
yeah,
He does research.
Always has the receipts.
Nobody keeps receipts
If it's at all valuable in any way, like there's a knowledge or something to be gained by me remembering something, it won't happen. Only if it's completely and utterly meaningless. You ask me what the score was like in week 3 of '96 or something. Like, I got it, but I can't get anything out of that. You know, if it's of any value, I don't retain it.
Mike, that means your key was valuable because he retained it.
There you go.
No, I had to look it up.
Mark and
I had it on the sheet. I didn't remember it.
Mark and Everett.
Mark.
Evan critique. Evan, please start your commentary with, in my opinion, you're starting to sound like you know more than Bill and his staff, and you don't. Great things take time, and Bill we
Yeah.
trust. We just need contributions from everyone for it to work.
Great things take time.
IMO.
Which
Well,
was
obviously, if
4 years.
Which was exactly my
See,
take
we-
that it was going to take time.
But Paul, you know, you were an English major, right? Or no?
No, journalism.
Well,
not English.
But you had to write a lot, right?
Yes.
And people would tell us, don't say in my opinion. It's your paper. We
Right.
know it's your opinion.
Exactly.
And if Evan's saying it, we know it's his opinion.
Correct.
You
Thanks,
know?
Fred.
Yeah.
You don't have to say.
We also have a disclaimer at the end of all of our articles that say it's my opinion.
Right.
Well, the other part I would just say, like,
If it lasts
the
longer
only
than 5
difference would be
hours,
if
call
you're
it
giving
out.
an opinion on something that's like, newsworthy.
Yeah.
You should probably say, look, no one's told me that, but
Right.
that's
Well,
just my
like
gotta
if
be
we got
careful
into
of
the whole
that.
Bill contract,
Right.
thing, we could all have our thoughts on it, and they would be our opinion. And I think for our sake, it's very important for us to say, listen, I don't know anything, but this is what I think, because there are some people that think that, like, we're having lunch with Bill.
Right.
And it's just not the way
It's
it
amazing
is.
how many people think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's an exaggeration of it, but that when we say something, it's like a voice of the organization.
We've got a tray in the cafeteria next to
I
Jabril
overheard
Peppers.
I overheard Jabril Peppers talking to Mike Dussault.
We could only wish.
It's just not the way it is. We know as much and as little as everyone else about most things.
Yeah, ish.
When it comes to that,
when it comes to the football.
I don't know.
Yeah, when it comes to
I just don't have this like burning desire to know secrets or to know things, or like I just like to watch the games and see what happens.
Listen, we can get into it maybe later in the week, but like I think it is important for fans to know what the future of their head coach is, and most teams, like John Gruden gets signed with the Raiders. It's 10 years, $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's out there. We've never known, and we don't know.
I think we knew originally, like when he first signed, but
we did.
I don't
since
remember.
then,
no.
Yeah.
But and we'll probably get to that tomorrow. Would you say? I think today's
tomorrow's turn the page day, but
but today's a basking the glory of a really fun win. Day.
Yeah.
Basking shark.
But it's a big story. I think that
Tiger shark.
I think
what?
Fans want to know what the future looks like, and that includes.
It is a big story.
It's huge,
but it's being made into a monumentally big story for, I think, no reason.
Because people don't know, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
It's the uncertainty.
Like the fact that Paul's shows, no offense, Paul, the fact that every single one of those shows, first segment is leading off right now is about Bill's contract.
It's drama.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Like what we're doing now, because this is our first opportunity together as a group to talk about the game, we can fill 2 hours.
Yeah.
But they have to fill 20 hours. And the drama.
They also can't talk ball like this.
Well, that's true.
So.
But it's
That's
easier to
part of it.
fill 20
Unless
hours
Paul's
of
with them.
speculation than 20 hours of basking in the goal, because that, admittedly,
that's
that
only in
will
the
get
morning.
that will get tired.
Yeah.
So the Bill thing works more for what they're doing. I don't blame them for doing it.
I feel like it's the uncertainty of how much he's getting paid, but then also the reasoning of like why that came out when it did, and then also like
Listen,
It
that,
just
the
is weird.
report raises more questions than it did answer things.
Oh, yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
Everything is a big question on that report.
I'm like, I hope you didn't think that report was gonna hush anybody up, because that just made people question it even more.
Yeah.
Like
I
it's
do
just
wonder
weird.
what the motive was.
Yeah.
Who
The
kn-
reasoning
well,
is weird.
If you knew who leaked it, then it's easier to figure out the motive. But
No, but I think that you could make different motives for either side.
Sure, that's true.
I don't know what the motive was.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway,
We'll talk about it more tomorrow.
We'll get into that.
We have some of those clips and stuff. We'll play them tomorrow.
Jason in Carlsbad, New Mexico. I'm torn. I like how Mac played on Sunday, and if he could play that way more weeks than not, then I would absolutely love it. But he doesn't. So do we want Mac, or do we want a top pick for a better quarterback next year? So to all of y'all, what would you prefer? A top pick or Mac?
I'm always anti-tanking. I've been I was embracing the tank because I had no other choice. But if I had a choice, I would much rather their arrow be pointing upward in the second half of the season, and they build something in the second half of this year and then add to it, and then in 2024 they maybe have better tackle play, better wide receiver play, and keep the same defense relatively together, and now they're competing in 24. Like I would much rather go that route than tank and start all over.
Me too. I just still go back to feeling like you got to make sure that you give your first round quarterback all the chances he can get to succeed, and I don't think anybody could say that they've given him every chance to succeed yet. And even if you don't believe that he's ever going to be a top 5 Super Bowl contending quarterback, I just think you can't keep chasing your tail. And so, to that one caller's point, if you feel like, hey, we think Mac can still play, let's continue to build around him. Let's let him carry over his offense. Let's have an offense for the same offense for a second year in a row. I think overall that adds just the stability of the organization. I don't think anybody really truly wants to blow up an organization and start over a coach and start over a quarterback and begin that long road because it's long and uncertain.
If you come out of this season thinking, okay, Mac has a chance to be the guy, that makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
I mean,
You've got
now,
2 more years
now
of
you
him.
can, whatever assets and money you have, you can spend elsewhere. Otherwise, you're back in that hole looking for a quarterback. So, as Patriots fans, even if you haven't liked what Mac has done so far, you should be hoping that he can turn it around. because that will make life so much easier this offseason.
Yeah, I fall in between all of you.
I feel like regardless of whether you keep him or get a new quarterback, you still need to build around them because what he has now is not sustainable.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to have to do that anyway.
Right.
So if you have one thing in place, being the quarterback, go. Let's start building.
But I also don't think that he's the guy either. Like even if he does finish out the season like 7-9 or whatever it is, I still don't think long term he's it.
I think that's the fair argument is that somebody could say, look, he's not the guy. You're wasting your time continuing to try to make him the guy. The sooner you can get someone who you truly believe to be the guy, the better.
Well, I think this gets back to the early caller we had who had played golf with the scout.
Yeah.
Define the guy. Like if you're looking for an elite quarterback, you're probably not going to get him. But if you can get a guy who's capable, like, we always use Kirk Cousins as the guy, stick with him. Stick with that and build around him.
I just feel like there's a danger in that. There's a Daniel Jones danger. There's an Andy Dalton danger. There's a Kirk Cousins danger.
Yeah.
You can convince yourself you have the guy.
Yeah, and I'm with you on
and
that.
If you're wrong, I think it does more damage than if you start over.
But the question
I think it's the
like,
word before guy. You have a guy, you don't have the guy.
Okay.
But the question is with Kirk Cousins is like if Kirk Cousins was in a better, I guess in general, just situation than Minnesota. Oh, I don't know. Their head coach is, their defense is horrible.
Yeah.
So if Kirk Cousins was playing,
sounds like all the things I used to say about Drew.
But
never his fault.
No, but like the question is like it's funny like you bring up last night. If Kirk Cousins is the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers instead of the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, which he might be next year,
I don't know. If the Niners defense plays the way it played last night, they're going to lose most games. I don't know I don't even know who those guys were. I can't believe how out of position they were all night. It was amazing.
But my point
they even had some ridiculous penalties.
Is it fair to say that of all the positions in football, the quarterback is most susceptible to his environment?
Yeah, I
don't know. I don't want to believe that though. I want to believe that you can have a quarterback that can affect the environment around them. And I mean, Kirk Cousins gets thrown around all the time, and it's like, well, what do we want to do when we rebuild? Well, we want to get an elite weapon like Justin Jefferson. Sure. You want to get a cutting-edge offensive coordinator coming from one of the hot offenses in the league? Yeah. Oh, Kevin O'Connell. You know what I mean? It's like you see Minnesota making the same mistakes that people call in here all the time pitching, and it's not
and I think
working
Kirk
out
Cousins
as well
is
there.
good.
He's fine.
I just don't think that he's the guy. That's all. I think he's good.
I think Shanahan would win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins.
With that team?
Yes.
Yeah, that's different. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy.
No, they're not.
Yeah, well.
How was Purdy last night? I didn't see the game.
Terrible.
Down the stretch, he threw 2 interceptions.
What happened? It's so funny how
but
these things happen.
they have some injuries on offense. He doesn't,
Yeah.
I don't think that. I think
he didn't have his tackle.
I think the balance. I think the balance of the game, they were really good offensively, and he was really good. Now I know he didn't do it at the end. He's the opposite of Mac.
Yeah,
Mac did it at the end.
Until the end, he was averaging like 10 yards per.
He was playing really well. I had some interest in that game. Didn't turn out well. And
Paul, you got
he played really. He played really, really well until the last drive when they needed him to do it. If McCaffrey's fumble took 7 points off the board, the field goal kicker missed another kick. They had a. They allow Jordan Addison to take the ball out of a defensive back's hands.
That was
Addison
had a game
for a 60-yard touchdown with no
wild
time left in the first half. That's absurdly bad.
I give a lot
defense.
of I don't. We're going to turn into Vikings tonight, but I give them a lot of credit. No Jefferson.
Your guy Ayuk was really good last night.
They came out to play.
Kick and dream.
Ellen, Wisconsin. This probably is the most fun I've had watching a game in 2 years. Big props to the team for winning a game that I thought was unwinnable. I still don't think this changes much in the grand scheme of things, though. I was on the new coach/quarterback train for more reasons than just the start of this season alone. But hey, who knows? Maybe I'll be proven wrong if the team proves Evan's fantasy land true.
Okay, all right. Let's calm down. I literally am in the same exact boat as the emailer.
It's funny how that happens.
Right? My goodness.
I said what?
Yeah.
That's how I got on Mount Cooks.
That's how I became Tom Brady hater.
All I said was that at least we have this right now, right here, right now, there is a football season to be had for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Which you couldn't have said before Buffalo. Now, in 2024 and beyond, I still have no clue if they have the right people in place for the future of the team. But for next week in Miami, at least there's a sliver.
And I think too, though, like even just aside from the win, that you're starting to get just some positive vibes from some guys. Some guys are starting to step up. I feel like in those 2 weeks where they got blown out, it was so hard to feel good about anything that they were doing at that point.
We even talked about Pharaoh Brown.
Yeah, I know. We're like, whoa, like that was it, right? Like that's all you had.
What is up with Pharaoh Brown? Where did that come from? There's no way they could they can play coy about it all they want. They had no idea Pharaoh Brown was going to be a big play machine.
He's got the clutch gene. Clutch gene. That's the new thing now.
Every time he touches the ball, it's an explosive.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Dennis in East Boston. I'm emailing to compliment Paul, Fred, and Mike on all the deep Seinfeld references over the years. Please keep them coming. Pats and Seinfeld have been my two favorite things to watch for who knows how long, so I love it as a listener. Last week, two brilliant Seinfeld references I think most people missed. Mike,
swirl. So
Purdy's the guy that sidelined Jimmy? Paul, and you end with a swirl? I was cracking up, gentlemen. Keep them coming.
I need fans. I need some fans that are Law and Order, like.
Yeah,
people like
it's not very quotable though. Like there's not a lot of moments in you're guilty.
Well,
it's also not a very uplifting show.
You got to remember all of Lenny's lines, because Lenny had the
Lenny.
line. Yeah, Lenny
He's
had the
so
lines.
funny.
Are you gonna watch the new Jesse L. Martin series?
I've
that
watched.
Just came out?
I've watched a couple.
Is it any good?
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Wait,
it's
what's it
not
called?
You watched a couple? Name of it?
The Educator or something? No, he's like a professor, right?
The Educator.
It's one of those one word kind of.
What's it on?
NBC.
NBC.
I missed it.
That's Al Michaels, He's doing his Al Michaels.
Do you know Al Michaels talk about washed? My goodness. Did you watch that Thursday night game?
Oh, The Irrational.
The Irrational.
Yeah.
Al Michaels, it's time, Al. It's time.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You
had a great run.
He's making bank.
I think he thinks it's ridiculous that he's doing games on streaming with Kirk Herbstreit, and he's just like,
nah, nobody's.
That check clear? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Talk about mailing it in.
Yeah. I'm just gonna continue wearing my pants up to my nipples, and I'll be fine with it.
Masa Yoshida.
That show's not bad though.
Okay. I just kind of these days I don't watch network
I know
TV.
you don't. You're a snob.
I am.
Paul's he does
commercials.
You'll
I don't
jump
watch
in on dramas. And
I don't watch a ton of.
Paul watches The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I do not watch The Bachelor.
You don't watch The Bachelor?
No, I watch The Bachelor, but not The Bachelorette.
That's where you draw the line.
Well,
about the Golden
No,
Bachelor?
this is what I always say. It's always the same thing. So I'd rather watch crazy women than stupid guys. Like The Bachelorette is
But
all
both
just
of
a
those,
bunch of stupid
both
guys.
of those feature both.
No, but it's mostly like Bachelorette is mostly you're dealing with stupid guys the whole time, right?
And I think you're being nice calling the women just crazy and not stupid.
Well, if you enjoy that, you should watch Love Is Blind.
Like if you're not there for the right
reason.
reasons,
Love Is Blind is
Love is Blind.
fantastic.
I don't want to go down the
Love
rabbit
is
hole.
Blind is the greatest show.
It is.
I don't think I've ever
It's so
seen it.
good on Netflix.
Season 5 just wrapped.
That was a
When-
COVID show, right? The first
Yeah.
season was
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah, we watched that.
Oh,
can't comment. Didn't see it.
when that girl asked him if he would pay for her water heater if it broke,
Yes.
it's like, my name on the deed? No.
Adrian writes in, listening to the Hub, and Hardy just threw a subtle jab at PU postgame show while speaking about DeBrusque missing the Bruins team meeting. He said, it's not like it's a 2-hour meeting with a break for lunch. Wow. Also, I'm feeling a bit nostalgic and would love to hear the Duncan Culotta Paul Perillo soundbite. If you still have it on a hard drive somewhere, the PFW OGs will know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Jake DeBrusque missing that
Okay.
meeting is bad. Like, it was
In LA.
It was a meeting in the team hotel. So all he had to do was get out of bed and walk downstairs.
He didn't play in the Kings game.
Yeah. No, I
So
saw.
how do you miss the meeting?
Well, he probably met somebody,
Okay.
and then he was at parts he was parts unknown. That's probably
Come on,
what
man.
happened,
Wait.
right?
You got to keep it in
I
line.
have a
I'm sorry.
question. I have a question for the married people, and Evan, you're almost married.
Basically married,
So
yeah.
a question. This is on Love Is Blind.
Oh, okay.
When you go out to dinner, who pays for the meal?
Me.
Me.
Us.
Well,
Now,
but-
it
but-
is
Wait,
our,
wait,
it
wait,
is
wait,
our
wait.
money, but I pay.
Yeah.
We're both here, so it's our money.
Yeah,
Doesn't that make it our time?
I put the card out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a huge blow up on there because the guy answered and was like 50-50 every time. Like We just both put our cards down. That was his response.
But they're married?
They weren't married. He's talking about dating.
They were going to.
Even dating, I always paid.
Now, dating, I always paid too, but I'm a little old-fashioned.
But they're engaged,
that
and
things
she
change.
asked him, like, when we get married, go out to eat, like, who's going to pay? And he was like, we both put our cards down. That was his answer.
Yeah, but when you're married, it's one pool.
Right. It's one pool when you're engaged. Like we have one credit card that for the house.
I admire the honesty.
That's bold.
But if you're on a date, you gotta lie on that. So you'd be like, well, I would pay it for you. Like if you really want it to work, like
How many checking accounts you guys have?
Just one.
Checking.
Oh no, two. She's got her.
We have one
Nikki
joint,
has
and
her
we
own.
each have one.
Yeah.
Oh, you each have one.
Yeah, but it's just for like.
Yeah.
Last time I wrote a check was like years ago.
No, but you have a checking account.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you pay your bills electronically?
For the debit card, yeah.
Yeah, you pay. But plus you have to pay your bills just because you don't write a check.
I pay all the bills.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So do I. I just didn't think it was a manly thing.
Me too. I do. I run the finances of the family.
I do it off.
And that's why I'm in debt up to my eyes.
No, I do the e-checks, with Bank of America.
Yeah. So that's what I meant.
CFO.
But yeah, Beth has her own checking account.
Is separate.
Yeah.
We just have one credit card so that like when we go out to dinner, like it
right.
And we each put money into it, and there you go.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that Beth has her own checking account, and I always call it the divorce account.
Right.
Like I'm not really.
My mom had one.
Not
of
really
Wayne
happy
does too,
with
but there's
that.
probably I think like $160 in it right now.
There's way more money in her checking account than ours.
Well, Beth made
she
Paul
makes like
sign a
5 times
prenup.
what I make.
Prenup. Yeah.
She should have. She's gonna regret that.
That nurse money.
I could definitely get the alimony if I needed it.
Paul's going to be squatting in the Peabody house.
With what Fred pays me? Are you kidding me?
All right.
At least 5 times.
On that note.
At least 5x.
All right. I got to go. I got a meeting.
We got a meeting.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast.